wonder if those Duke boys know anything about cheese curds. Boys, eat the ones that squeak. They're the fresh ones. Hey, just a little Wisconsin dairy trivia for you here. Dave Burns reporting live from Kaukauna, Wisconsin, where we're going to be racing tonight with the ASA. But we're also going to go behind the scenes with guys like Brad Loney. We'll go skydiving indoors. And Mike Miller, he's going to take us flying as well. Sandy Hang?
Happy 4th of July, everyone. We will show you the V6 that powers the AC-Delco Challenge Series cars. We will take you inside an engine shop. And we'll introduce you to Mr. Adventure, Brandon Sperling, as he takes an off-track thrill. Ralph?
Hi, everybody, and happy 4th of July to you. Myself, along with my ASA co-driver, Jim Trado, will be here to call all 300 laps for you. If you haven't lit off your fireworks, don't worry about it. We're going to supply the excitement for you here tonight. 300 laps of great short track racing with some of the best short track drivers in the entire country on one of the toughest short tracks in the state of Wisconsin. The Wisconsin 300 coming your way next, live, right here on TNN Motorsports.
The Stars and Stripes, ASA's 30th anniversary, Independence Day. What could be more exciting than going stock car racing on a Friday night? And from right here at WIR in Kaukauna, Wisconsin, I'm Dave Burns. This is Sandy Hang, and we're going to bring you a lot of stuff before we ever get to the Wisconsin 300. It's going to be a great night.
Well, you know, Dave, what makes it a real holiday is watching racing. And this track is a lot of fun here at Kaukauna. It's not a true oval, which makes it a great time.
No, in fact, this track was started back in 1968. And the fans have flocked here ever since then. In fact, believe it or not, they race on Thursday nights as a part of the Central Wisconsin Racing Association, and they pack it all the time. In addition, they do lots of specials like ARTCO, and tonight, the American Speed Association, and better believe it, they're going to be excited about stock car racing here at WIR tonight.
There is a long and legendary history of the AC-Delco Challenge Series. ASA's 30th anniversary is this year, and it has produced some of the most outstanding drivers, names I'm sure you know. The likes of Rusty Wallace, Kenny Schrader, Dick Trickle, Johnny Benson Jr., so many drivers right out of the ASA Series. Let's go now up to the booth to my colleagues, Jim Trado and Ralph Shaheen, who will be calling the race in just a little bit.
Thank you, Sandy. Hi, everybody. Hope you're having a great 4th of July wherever you are. We didn't even get sparklers or the opportunity to have a barbecue, but we do have some great fireworks for you tonight, courtesy of some of the best short track drivers you'll find anywhere, drivers of the AC-Delco Challenge Series Tour. Now, this racetrack here at Wisconsin International Raceway is a half-mile, Jim. It's real fast, but it's really tough on the Goodyear tires and the brakes that these cars utilize.
Last time the track was paved in 1968, and ASA has brought their softest tire compound for these drivers. Speaking of the brakes, Tony Raines won here in 1995 with road race brakes. Down this long back straightaway here, heading into turn number 3, they're exceeding 115 miles per hour. As they get into turn 3, we'll see a lot of white smoke billowing off the right front because all the brakes will be locked up trying to get through that corner.
There are 2 other drivers here tonight outside of our regular cast of crazies that drive on the AC-Delco Challenge Series Tour who really could be some ringers that could pick off the victory here today.
Piloting Jim Daly's number 2 car right there on screen is Butch Miller, 3-time ASA champion and 1994 Series champion as well. Also in the field, Joe Shear, 5 ASA wins to his credit. He'll be piloting this number 99 car for car-owner Rick Scalzo. His last time in one of these vehicles was 1993.
Well, like I said, we didn't get any sparklers, but we do have 300 laps of great short track racing on this ultra-quick half-mile. Should be a lot of fun racing with the ASA Tour here tonight. Let's head back downstairs to Dave Burns.
And no doubt, Ralph, there will be a lot of Kodak moments here on this Independence Day. Stay with us. When we come back, we're going to have our very own driver snapshot. We'll go home with Kevin Sawinski. Wisconsin International Raceway here in Kaukauna is about 100 miles from where Kevin Sawinski grew up. And that's a lot closer than many people thought he'd ever get to big-time stock car racing. Kevin Sawinski's hometown of Mosinee is about as central in Wisconsin as you can get. Travel from here in any direction and you bump into racing history. The careers of Trickle, Musgrave, Refner, and Sauter, go ahead and pick your generation, they all started in this area. And the next name that a certain Kevin Sawinski hopes you remember is his. Sawinski. They remember him in this hard-working mill town. He was the kid with the too fast go-kart.
Had a 440 snowmobile engine and an electric start. It would run probably about 80 miles an hour.
He was the kid at Charlie's Hardware who fixed chainsaws and lawnmowers.
With Kevin coming out of the shop, even if he was full of grease and people knew he was working on the engine, he could explain the whole mower or the mechanical parts to him real well.
He was also a kid with a passion for racing, but
this area does not view, or did not at that time view, race drivers in high esteem. When I started racing, we were dirtballs. Even at one time, I offered him a college education. I didn't really steer him towards racing. That was his goal, not mine.
Kevin learned from the ground up, maintaining his own equipment and winning.
He's got a talent you won't believe.
And then he got his first big break with Coleman Racing Products.
When Gene called and gave me the opportunity to run some ASA and do the ARTCO stuff with him, it just gave me a shot in the arm because I knew it was something that I've needed for many years. It's just some financial backing.
They won the '95 ARTCO Championship, and that caught the eye of ASA car owner Scott Lefevre.
To come in and do as well as we did our rookie year and really won the rookie battle by a landslide was pretty phenomenal.
It is the 11th ASA start. Kevin Sawinski will come home the victor.
Kevin is one of the main things that are always talked about in the store here, and the community is very proud of him.
Words can't describe it. It's just phenomenal.
I've fulfilled a dream that I've had all my life.
And currently, this dreamer is leading the ASA points, but tonight he has his worst start ever, 14th in the 1997 season. Don't let that worry you, though. He's got a lot of laps here and a lot of enthusiastic fans in the stands tonight. Let's go to Sandy.
Well, to know about why an ASA car is different than other stock car series, you've got to look under the hood. ASA is powered by a V6, and to really understand it, the first thing you've got to do is listen. You hear a rumble with a high-pitched chaser. ASA's V6 muscles about 500 horsepower with nothing holding it back.
In a 500 horsepower engine right now, your restrictor Winston Cup engine is down in the 430 range. So what you're seeing in an ASA race actually is 70 more horsepower than is in a restrictor plate in a Winston Cup car.
Another hidden benefit, durability and affordability. The typical ASA V6 costs about $27,000 and lasts 4 or 5 races.
When they drop the compression ratio, which is a ASA concept, which now if you go into Busch Grand National, you'll find out they're at 9-1, and your Iceman series and all of your other All-Pro, they're all 9-1 now. And that alone helped the durability cycle. They dropped that and the attrition rate went way down. Your cycle time on getting rebuilds then becomes tremendously increased. So that's the durability side of it, really, that's made a big difference on the V6. Started that concept, now it's transferred to V8.
The ASA V6 expertise helped K-Tech engine builders solve a problem for General Motors. So what you see on the track today may really give you clues about the cars of tomorrow. That engine you were looking at was Gary Saint-Amant's, and it's going to be interesting to see if it's going to work for him tonight in this race. Dave?
Racing has obviously been a big part of Mike Miller's life, but so is aviation. In fact, of all the businesses that Mike has been involved in, he's hung on to aviation. And while I might be a little bit squeamish about flying, Mike loves it.
Are you sure you want to do this?
I'm sure. You know, I've done all the, the roller coasters and tilt-a-whirls and wherever else might, give me a little queasiness.
Well, I want to take exception to that. Now, this is Miller Airlines here, and we try very hard to please our passengers. Hi, I'm Mike Miller, driver of the number 18 ASA car, and I'm going to take Mr. Burns here for an airplane ride.
glad about that, actually.
Are you sure you wanted to do that?
It wasn't that bad. I mean, I think it was a lot smoother than the way you drive your Pontiac. But
wait a minute now.
But thank you.
That isn't fair.
This was fun.
That's not fair, folks.
We'll do it again
That's not fair.
sometime. This is Dave Burns with Mike Miller. This was great.
See you, kids.
Hey, his flying really is smoother than his driving, but I imagine his driving is pretty smooth too. Mike, tell me, what is it about flying and driving? Why do so many drivers love to fly?
My first comment is, you know, Dave, you woke me up from my nap for this.
That's a little pre-race nap. Do you do that before you fly too?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. What was the question again?
Yeah, why do you love to fly? You love to drive and go fast, but flying seems so much more placid.
Well, there's serenity in flying. I mean, you get away from all the traffic on the road. I mean, flying is so much easier than driving on the highway. I mean, it's just remarkable.
Well, and certainly we woke him up from some serenity to get up here, and hopefully he'll be able to go to the front when we start things off tonight. Sandy?
Well, I don't know about that serenity, because I've seen race car drivers who are an adventuresome sort. Coming up, we'll take you skydiving with the driver of the 33 car. Strap in for this one.
Wisconsin 300 is brought to you by Milwaukee's Best. When you're looking for a different breed of beer, unleash the beast. And by Quaker State, the quality your car deserves.
Now, many folks would say that stock car racing is an extreme, on-the-edge kind of sport. Well, for Brad Loney, it's just the beginning. Dave Burns, Brad Loney here at the Flyaway Indoor Skydiving, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Brad's going to show me how this is done.
Are you ready for the third safest ride in the world?
I think so. What are the first two?
The Hindenburg and the Titanic.
We're in trouble.
Well, what'd you think of the third safest ride in the world?
Much harder than it looks, I'll tell you that. Very nice, though. Thank you very much.
Awesome job.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Well, that may be tough, but for this guy, neither racing nor indoor skydiving are very tough. Brad, hey, are there any parallels at all between what we did there the other day, and not the mistakes I made, but the indoor skydiving and what you do here on the track?
I don't think so, other than the preparation from the standpoint of the temperatures inside the tunnel are pretty hot. I think we're well over 110 degrees in there, so, you know, that'd be the only preparation that I could actually get out of that for racing.
Well, we know your balance is good after seeing all that. What about the temperatures tonight? I mean, they're very cool. Are you, as a driver, pretty excited about that?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a nice, mild evening for us, and, you know, by the end of the night, I'm hoping I can get up and get out of the car and look forward to another 200 laps. So I think it'll be great.
Well, we're not going to do any more than 300 here tonight, Sandy. If he's going to go 500, it's going to be somewhere else.
I'm very jealous, Dave. They won't let me do anything. No fun since I cracked my rib. I'm glad you got to have some fun. Well, you know, when we're out here on the track, we do a lot of things technological-wise to make sure the broadcast goes well. We wear these headsets to crash through the engine noises so we can hear. But drivers do a lot of other things with their communication systems to stay dialed in. I'm here with Mike Miller again. You know, we were telling you that he's a pilot. He does something very special. He takes some of that technology from being a pilot into your communication systems. What do you do?
Well, John Wells from Fast Track Communications, the guy that does our race radios, is also a pilot. And he recognized that we could have better communications by using a thing called side tone. And everybody at home is familiar with that because every single telephone has got it. And what it means is you can hear yourself talk. And of course, the engine noise and the exhaust noise and, you know, the very high decibel levels of the race car, I can hear all of that and I can speak above it, which gives us kind of a little advantage from a pit strategy viewpoint.
It's a great idea. So normally on a two-way or a walkie-talkie, when you touch it and you talk, you can't hear yourself, but now you can hear yourself talk.
That's it.
What do you do when that goes down?
Well, so far it hasn't. I mean, John has done just a spectacular job over the last 4 years of maintaining the radios, and I mean, it's just great.
Just some more high tech. Well, hey, Ralph, I know you've got some business to do up in the booth, and we're getting close to that green flag.
That's exactly right, Sandy. The first thing we need to do is show you the grid. Now, this is a one-day show for the AC-Delco Challenge Series Tour. All the teams showed up here this morning, had 2 hours worth of practice, and then right after that, about an hour later, we qualified for tonight's 300-lap race here at Wisconsin International Raceway. Let's show you what happened with the top 3 cars. The first one you see here is Scott Hansen, driver of the Schrader Racing Machine. This Chevrolet got around here in 19.78 seconds. That was good enough for the 3rd spot on the grid, Jim.
Starting second will be the Metro Milwaukee Auto Auction Pontiac of Mike Garvey. Last race winner, qualified at 19.766, really close at the top.
On the pole, taking his 2nd pole of the year is Rick Beebe out of Merriam, Kansas, the St. Louis Gear Royal Machine Pontiac, 19.730, a new track record for Rick Beebe. Now here's a look at the rest of the top 10 for tonight's show, and I think it's interesting to point out that less than 0.2 of a second separated the first pole winner, Rick Beebe, all the way back to the 10th place qualifier, Steve Holzhaus. And as you see, Carlson and Baird round out the top 5.
Carlson has a lot of laps here. Bill Baird, a great qualifying run with a great paint job. Mike Miller, Tim Sauter right there in 6th and 7th. Gary St. Amant comes in this race 2nd in points. Every point counts. He'll start 9th.
So that's a look at the top 10 in qualifying for tonight's race. We'll have the entire rundown for you shortly after they fire the motors and we get set to go green flag racing. For right now, however, let's go back to Sandy Hay.
Well, the pole sitter tonight has got some momentum going. It's Rick Beebe. He had a little bit of tough luck last week, but pulled it out to finish 4th. You've got to be excited to set the track record here today.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's great. I mean, we kind of turned our qualifying efforts around and got the record at Indy, and then hoping to get the pole at I-70 last weekend and didn't quite get it, but guys in Keokuk have just, these cars have been perfect when we've unloaded them at the racetrack, and this is a new car because we tore one up at Indy and had a few bugs in it last week at I-70, but man, they got her working today, and all the guys on the crew, the Kansas City crew that comes and works during the weekend days, everybody works hard, and we had a good car in qualifying. Hopefully we'll have it all night.
Now, guys tell me this is a tricky track because especially turn 1 and 2. How do you get in and out of those turns safely?
Well, 1 and 2, 3 and 4 is tough too. They're all, this is a tough racetrack. You got to have a car that works real good. Front end's got to stick good where you can keep it on the bottom and get turned under your competitors. And this one worked great in practice and qualifying. If it'll work like that in the race, we had a great shot.
I know you don't plan on doing any passing. You hope to just hold that spot all the way to the checkered flag. Thanks, Rick. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Well, coming up, we will introduce you to some more of ASA's legendary drivers when TNN Special continues.
Whether you're running in the back of the pack or near the front in the major leagues of stock car racing these days, it's more and more likely that you got your start somewhere along the line in the American Speed Association. We sent our own Eli Gold out to talk to some of the NASCAR Winston Cup guys who got their start in this very ASA series.
The American Speed Association has long been considered one of the best proving grounds for racers in this country. Its hard-nosed, grassroots style of racing has spawned racers the likes of Wallace and Martin and Waltrip and Dick Trickle and many others. When we think of great racers, we think of those names. And when those drivers think of great racing, they think of the American Speed Association.
Here's the pass for the lead, and it looks like this time St. Amant's going to get him. He does.
Back in that era, that was very, very intense. I mean, that was some real hardcore racing. The cars were really exotic. They were real fast, and that meant a lot to me, and I still got a fond memory in my heart for that.
It was really good for me. I look back on it, and I think I had 22 wins. And it seems like I had a lot more success in ASA than I have had in Winston Cup, and I've had 20 Winston Cup wins, so there's something there that's special to me.
Now, not all of the ASA memories were of the final destinations. Some were really lessons in education.
That particular series had long races, pit stops, strategy for, night racing, day racing. Like I say, with 400 laps, you could make, 4, 5, 6 pit stops during the race and change your chassis a little bit, tire stagger, and tune the car up for the last session.
ASA teaches you the mentality to run up front, keep your wheels on. I was taught to learn how to finish a 400-lap race, with all the wheels on a car and run competitively.
And no one was more competitive throughout his ASA career than the legendary Dick Trickle.
Most of them are a younger generation than I am, and I'm just proud of them. Whenever Rusty wins or Mark wins, I feel there's just a little bit of Dick Trickle there.
And just like yesterday, today's drivers continue to pave the way for future ASA stars.
They are quality drivers, and not only do they know how to drive a car on the racetrack, they've been taught well about their etiquette off the racetrack.
Well, certainly DW knows about etiquette. He's one of the most gentlemanly guys in the sport, and after all, he got his start right here in the ASA. Now, one driver who's getting his start in the ASA, really progressing, is standing by with Sandy Hang.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have yet to meet a boring ASA driver. They do so many things when they're off the track. Brandon Sperling is one driver who knows how to have a lot of fun.
The worst thing you'd want is to have a perfect car one day and get tired and not be able to bring that car home first. And that's something that I don't ever want to happen. So I always want to be on top of it. I don't want to lose a race because of me. So that's why I train the way I do and to stay on top of it so that I never even have to think about that. I do about everything, but most of it all has to do with motors. If it doesn't have to do with motors, like I don't get into riding horses that much, but as long as it's got a motor, I like to be on it, whether it's a motorcycle or a go-kart or a jet ski or whatever. I'm very serious on the outside, but I also have a lot of fun, and that's just the way that I've always been.
Well, Brandon, it looked like a lot of fun. Does working out, you think, help you in the race car?
Oh, definitely. I always want to be in the top physical condition that I can be. I don't want to have a great car and not be able to bring it home. And, I also like to be in top form just in case the accident occurs and I hit the wall hard or have a misfortune like that I have a better chance of coming out unscathed.
Well, that boat looks very sweet, shall I say. You ever get tempted, push the throttle up thinking it's like your race car?
It's always up every time I'm in it. But, no, I get out there and I relax in it. And every once in a while when it's real smooth, I get on it and hold it down for a while.
Having a good time. You got that. Brandon Sperling, another driver who does not lead a boring life off the track. Coming up, we'll show you some drivers that you need to watch tonight because they may be running at the front of the pack.
Well, you may think this is just lip service, but any one of 10 or 12 guys could win an ASA race at any time. And the car that I'm standing next to, Steve Carlson, he is definitely one to watch here at Kaukauna tonight. He's won races here in ARTCO and the CWRA. Doesn't have his first win in ASA yet, but his crew chief, Howie Ledau, well, he's been wrenching cars here for over 20 years. Watch out for Carlson. Sandy?
Well, my pick for one to watch is Scott Hansen. He has 5 track championships here. Count them, 5 track championships, back to back. Scott Hansen knows this track better than anyone here that is on the starting grid. Also, Scott has got some sneaky moves, especially when he gets into turn 4. So be watching Scott doing that tonight. Coming up, we are so close to green flag racing that you cannot afford to leave the TV. That's coming up, green flag racing on TNN. Welcome back to the Wisconsin 300 on this wonderful 4th of July here in Kaukauna. And joining us now for the national anthem is Angela Sauter from one of ASA's great racing families. I guess let's go for it, Angela.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
You know, I was a little worried because we were turned the wrong way, but there was so much patriotic apparel up there, we didn't have any trouble seeing the flag. This is Ray Dietzens. He's going to help us start things tonight. He's with U.S. Tire, which is a distributor of AC-Delco. Ray, go ahead and get us started.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Well, the motors are fired, guys. Ralph and Jim, it's just up to you guys to take us on to the green flag.
Thank you, David. We're ready to go racing. Hope you're all having a great 4th of July and you're all sitting around the TV eating your watermelons ready to light off your fireworks, because we're about to do the same right here at Kaukauna, Wisconsin with the Wisconsin 300. Let's show you the point standings as we get to race number 8 of the 1997 season. Kevin Sawinski does lead the points, and he's got a somewhat healthy lead over Gary St. Amant, but those two are going back and forth all season long, Jim.
It's a 107-point margin, but as you look down in the top 5, Dave Sensiba and Rick Beebe are now qualified. They award qualifying points here at ASA. Beebe and Sensiba now are tied.
Here's a look at the back half of the top 10. Scott Hansen and Steve Carlson. Those two you'll hear a lot of tonight. Joey Knott hanging in the back half of the top 10 in the 10th position. The field getting set to roll off here, and as they pull in behind the Pontiac pace car on the AC-Delco Challenge Tour, we'll show you the Wisconsin 300 starting grid. As you heard earlier, the new track record for Rick Beebe, his second pole of the year. Mike Garvey, who has 2 wins already this season, will be looking for his third, starting up on the outside of row number 1 in position number 2.
As Sandy Hang mentioned, Scott Hansen, a 5-time track champion, will be the leader, shall we say, if he gets out and becomes the rabbit. Steve Carlson will be in tow. Steve Carlson has raced here at this racetrack at least 4 times a year since 1988, so he has a lot of laps here in other divisions.
Moving back to row number 3, Bill Baird with a very patriotic paint scheme. You'll get a good look at that a little bit later on. And Mike Miller, the winner at Kenley, has 4 top 5s in 8 races this year.
Tim Sauter, second in the rookie standings coming into this race, is competing once again in his home state of Wisconsin. Outside of that row, Brandon Sperling. You saw how exotic he can get on the weekends. It's all business in the race car for that number 51 Chevrolet.
Moving on back to row number 5, another one of the 2-time winners, of course, that would be Gary St. Amant. He sits second in the points. He has never done well in Wisconsin, but he's looking to do that a little bit here tonight. Now still looking to lead a lap so far in 97, amazingly, Steve Holzhausen.
7-time ASA champion Mike Eddy will start inside of row number 6. Again, he's third in the leader laps led this year. 16,000 for his career, trying to add to that total tonight. And Brad Loney, only 1 ASA win to his credit, but that Pontiac driver has certainly been on a tear as of recently.
Row number 7 comes up next. That's where you'll find Ted Smokestad. He's got 3 top 10s. He sits 15th in the point standings. And of course, Kevin Sawinski, the LeFevre Racing Pontiac, is a defending race winner. And as you saw, the points leader.
Rod Wheeler of Appleton, Wisconsin is making his third ASA start in his 01 Chevrolet. Appleton Auto Wrecking, his family business in nearby Appleton. And Brett Bell in the Wunderbar Ford will start outside of the 8th row.
Row number 9 is where you find the sneaker, also nicknamed the Bluebird. The driver of that blue number 84 Ford Thunderbird, of course, Bob Seneker, the former champion from back in 1990, the winningest driver on the ASA Tour. One of the fastest ever out of Canada is Junior Hanley. He's led at 2 races so far this year, Jim, but not leading at the right times.
He has been running more consistently, though. Speaking of consistency, Dave Sensible trying to get back on that track. 2 races, the last 2 races, 2 crashes, gone through 2 race cars. He'll start inside of Joe Knott, car number 48. Sensible, however, has a leg problem. We'll get into that in just a bit. Joe Knott trying to improve from the 20th spot.
Row number 11 is where we find Harold Fair. He took a 3rd at Jennerstown. That's his best finish of the season. He's 8th in the points. And the 07 of Jack Landis making his 28th start on the ASA Tour.
We find the Zero Hero Tom Jones, the one-time winner in Jennerstown in 1993 in the AC-Delco Challenge Series, and rookie contender Mike Kofer in his Black & Decker Chevrolet.
Row 13 on the inside, the number 21 of Kevin Noodleman. He's a 6-time lacrosse speedway champion, making his 3rd start on this tour. And of course, the former ARCA champ Joe Shear. He's one of those ringers we warned you about. He'll be starting on the outside of that row.
Karting world champion Doug Mayer will start his no-touch Chevrolet from the inside of row number 14. Outside, former sprint car racer in his 2nd year of ASA competition, Billy Turner from El Reno, Oklahoma in a Chevrolet.
And row 15, coming off a hard hit, is Aaron Huff. He is really sore. And another one of those drivers from across the border, Alec Pinsino, the number 93 Pontiac.
In the final row is Butch Miller, 3-time ASA champion, most recently the championship coming in 1994. He has a bunch of laps here at this racetrack. I helped carry tires for his race win in Artco Special in 1988, right at this racetrack.
I'm sure it was a big day for Butch.
It was.
We should say Butch Miller is starting dead last, not because he qualified so poorly, but because he is taking a champion's provisional. He was qualifying for the truck race, which is being held tomorrow at the Milwaukee Mile. He just got to the racetrack. By the way, he's starting 27th on that truck race tomorrow at the Milwaukee Mile. Let's check in with Dave Burns.
Ralph, this D-shaped oval will work hard on you, and the first place that's going to happen is down in turn number 1. There is a big bump, and as you might be able to see on the track there, it's a place where a lot of guys have been bottoming out. As soon as the cars dive into there after the green flag, their cars are going to get upset a little bit, and we're really going to have to keep an eye on this end of the track for all that skirting around following that bump.
This is a very unique racetrack. It is a half mile. The banking down in turns 1 and 2, Jim, is not as severe on the bottom of the racetrack where the groove is, but the higher you go, obviously, the steeper it gets.
Standing on the front straightaway, looking into turn number 1, it looks like a Hot Wheel loop. You ever do that when you're a kid? It really looks like it's a lot higher, a lot wider than really the racing groove allows in turns 1 and 2. And as we mentioned, down that very long and quick back straightaway, hard into turn number 3. Then the drivers let it drift all the way out to turn 4 and come down back down to the start-finish line.
Race analysis, 31 cars starting. It is 300 laps or 162 miles around this half mile. Pontiac's dominating the field. The Fords and the Chevys kind of balancing it out. Now we got a special starter here tonight. Roger Slack, who is a regular, I guess we should say, specially attired starter. Of course, we are in Wisconsin.
Now he's a recent college graduate. And
Sure he is.
Apparently the Ontario native wants to become a native of Wisconsin, or at least move here, support the cheesehead for us Wisconsin folk.
Well, Brett Bell making his way down pit road. Sandy, do you have more on that?
Well, the situation with Brett Bell, his crew tells me that it was stuck in gear. They crawled under the car, hoping to make an adjustment to get it back into gear. Also, you probably saw Rod Wheeler duck into pit road. He broke the starting wire. They think, hey, it's going to run, so they sent her back out.
Now, Wunderbar Redline Oil car is always quick, where Brett just needs to buy himself some racing luck if they can do that. We're set to go green with the Wisconsin 300 live on TNN. As we go into turn 3 and the yellow number 23. The white 52 is Scott Hansen. He is battling with Mike Garvey, the patriotically painted number 8. Garvey on the outside, Hansen to the bottom. Hansen's number 52, owned by Ken Schrader, famous Winston Cup driver, and Winston Cup car owner Rick Hendrick. That car is maintained at Kenny's own personal race shop in Concord, North Carolina. Same places where the NASCAR truck that Mike Wallace now drives for Kenny and all of Kenny's other racing equipment has gotten. And now Hansen will lock himself into the second position. Carby slips back to third. Steve Carlson runs in fourth. Brandon Sperling is fifth. And then it's Mike Miller behind him and Bill Baird coming up behind him.
My belief there, Ralph, is Mike Garvey may have had an equal car to Scott Hansen at this point in the race, but it's so early and the tires are the big question mark. There was some blistering in the short practice we had this afternoon, so the teams are worrying about the tires, trying to see how they play out, so Garvey backed off just momentarily.
That's a battle for 10th you were just looking at, and already a change for the lead as Hansen has taken the lead away from Rick Beebe. And you had just seen Kevin Sawinski take 10th place away from Steve Holzhausen.
This is the 9th race of the year. This is only the second time Scott Hansen has led an AC-Delco Challenge Series event. He took the lead away going into turn number 1 with an inside move. Now we see them go up on the back straightaway where all that black is on that racetrack. That's where those right side Goodyear Eagles will be running to the very ragged edge all night long.
Mike Eddy, the Goodrich Service Plus number 88, just in front of Gary St. Amant, wins number 7. That is a fight in 12th position. Mike Eddy, the 7-time champion. Gary St. Amant still trying to win his first championship. Definitely one of the favorites to do so this year. Him and Kevin Sawinski fighting it out. Hansen opening up a bit of a lead, and Jim, he will tell you, this is his Daytona 500. Scott Hansen, as we've said already, is a 5-time track champion here at Kaukauna. He has won everything there is to win at this racetrack, including all the specialty events that have been held here. The one thing Hansen has never won here is the ASA race. He really wants to do that here tonight. Brad Loney, car number 33, moving himself into 8th position. Sawinski giving chase in car number 1. Bill Baird, the Speedy Pot number 30. That's the 30th anniversary car. It is the 30th anniversary of the American Speed Association in 1997. Bill paying homage to that tonight with that paint scheme.
Battle of the Pontiacs. Pontiac has dominated the series. Not only do they have the most cars involved, but now we see the Bun Saber Pontiac spewing some smoke there, Ralph.
Yeah, there's definitely smoke coming out of the back of that number 33. See if we get a word as to what they think it might be. And Sawinski's looking awful fast, Jim. He's definitely quicker on the bottom, just can't get there.
He was the second quickest of the 31 cars that were in practice this afternoon. In qualifying, he somehow lost 2/10. It was a mystery to him and his team. He started 14th, as by far his worst start of the year. Now he's all the way at the 9th and working on the back bumper of that Bun Saber Pontiac.
You can see by how quickly he got on the brakes and how much that nose dove as he went into turn number 3. He is definitely quicker than Brad down the straightaway, but Brad is also hugging that bottom line, and Kevin isn't ready to try the outside groove yet. Watch as they go down the back straight, and look at Sawinski sliding off of 2. Watch the front nose. You'll see when he gets on the brakes. Right there. That's why we were saying how difficult this track is on brakes, because you use them so deep into the turns.
And going into the corners is where most position overtaking is done, which means you have to use even more brake or stuff it in there harder to get inside position.
This is a fight for 8th position that you're watching. Brad Loney, the Bun Saber number 33, and Sawinski in the black number 1, the series points leader, trying to get inside. Timmy Sauter in the 55 gets inside of Mike Miller. That's the fight for 6th. He takes the position.
Tim's sister Angela sang the national anthem. Driver of the 55 car is his wife Christine. Travis, Tyler, and Benny, his 3 sons, are also here cheering Dad on, hoping for a top 5 or maybe a win in his rookie season. He's awfully close. He's only 30-some points out of the top 10 in his rookie run.
7 girls and 5 boys in the Sauter family. 3 sons driving, so does Dad. We're racing. Mike Chappie hoping his boy Kevin Sawinski get to the front on this 4th of July.
The Wisconsin 300 is brought to you by Wagner, the power to do it.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin 300 live on TNN Motorsports from Kaukauna, Wisconsin. On this beautiful 4th of July here in the middle of Wisconsin. We're just south of Green Bay. Scott Hansen, the driver of that white number 52, is your leader. Not only did he win 5 track championships here, Jim, but he did them in 5 consecutive years. But his car owner is a little nervous when he has to clean a windshield.
Last race at I-70 Speedway for the AC-Delco Challenge Series, Kenny Schrader was supposed to show up and be the spotter on the grandstand, the extra set of eyes for Scott Hansen. Schrader got there later than expected. They already had someone else lined up, so they said, okay, Kenny, you'll be the window washing guy. Kenny said, no problem. Then Kenny started getting nervous. About lap 100, they were 20 laps away from a caution determined by ASA Competition Yellow. Kenny started pacing back and forth. He started wringing out the rags he was going to use, trying to remember and say out loud, okay, this is for wiping on, this one you wipe off. He got so nervous he was walking up and down on top of the pit wall waiting for this car, the 52 car, to come down pit lane. He said, I'm always on the other side of the windshield, guys. I don't know what I'm doing.
But I guarantee you it'll be cool as a cucumber when they fire up those motors at Daytona tomorrow. Well, his driver's doing a pretty good job. He's out front leading this one. His crew chief has got to be pretty happy too, I would think, Dave.
Well, I'm sure that he is. That's a pretty good pace out there. Is that a good pace right now? Is the car comfortable for him?
The car's pretty good. He hasn't really said much. We started him out on stickers tonight. Everyone else started out on scuffed tires. So we're going to try to see how that works for us. Some people had some troubles with their tires earlier. I want to save our good stuff for the end, so we're right where we are at the last lap.
Running pretty clean. What lap is your concern as far as tire wear?
Well, ASA said in the crew chief meeting they're going to throw a yellow at 50 to check tire wear. I don't think we're going to stop. We're not concerned about it.
Scott Hansen hopes to be leading well past lap 50.
Well, he's got about a 2-second lead as we complete lap 27. All the way back to that yellow car, which is Rick Beebe, and now you see the rest of the field coming through. Garvey, Carlson, that's the top four. Brandon Sperling is fifth, and that's the fight for fifth. Tim Sauter in that 55. Whoa, and look at Sperling getting loose coming off the corner.
All it takes is one slight bobble. There's so much speed coming off of turn number 4 and down the dogleg in the front stretch. You saw him try to gather it back in. Tim Sauter said, I'm on the gas pedal. I'm clean. I'm going right by you.
And now Sawinski to the inside of Sperling. They dive on the brakes as they motor down into turn number 3. Here's a fight for third. Mike Garvey, the red, white, and blue with stars, number 8, and Steve Carlson right behind him in the Trop Arctic 87.
I've been keeping one eye on this battle. It's been 10 laps that Steve Carlson's unable to get around Mike Garvey, but Carlson's so much better off the corner in turn 4 here. He gets up right underneath that Grand Prix rib bumper. Also in turn number 2, Carlson is within inches of swapping headlight stickers with taillight stickers on Garvey's number 8. Garvey able to power off down the backstretch, though. Car owner Jerry Gunnerman sporting the red, white, and blue paint job for Independence Day. Did it a year ago, and he was the car owner for Scott Hansen.
I like this paint scheme better, though, than the one they did last year.
Garvey likes it. He won with it a week ago. I-70 Speedway, he beat Kevin Sawinski to the line in a race dominated by Kevin Sawinski, but Garvey was first to the finish. 3 top 10 finishes this season in just 8 starts.
Billy Turner in the 58, just in front of them, about to go down a lap. Used to run the NCRA Sprint Car Tour. Now he's driving ASA as Billy Turner, that silver and black 58. Getting acclimated to stock car racing. Garvey gets around on the outside, and here comes Carlson. They'll work around Doug Mayer as well, the former go-kart champion. Mayer, the white number 11, you'll see just in front of them. Now that 87 chassis, this is pretty interesting. They've got 3 chassis in the shop that Howie Ledow, the crew chief, has to choose from. They only run this one. Now they've actually ran this car since 1994 and has raced every ASA race since 1994 except for the road courses. So that means it skipped all of about 3 to 4 races over all those years. It has a total of 8 wins, and it is that exact chassis that won the championship last year with Tony Raines behind the wheel.
Steve Holtzhausen drove the car in 94, 95, 96. It was Tony Raines, and this year it's Steve Carlson's turn. 39-year-old driver, 4-time ARTCO Series champion that competes at this racetrack no less than 4 times a year, so Carlson has many laps here. Extended races as well, not just 30-lap late model features on a Saturday night. A lot of races.
See those flames painted on the nose of the 55. Tim Sauter, the driver of that car, got hit by Doug Mayer at IRP, and the car erupted into flames, and Tim fortunately was able to climb out okay. He said he went to lunch one day this week, was gone a little bit too long, comes back from lunch, they got flames painted on the nose of the car. It's a little bit of a joke from the crew. He said at first he thought about staying up all night to repaint the car, and then he thought, what the heck, it looks kind of cool. I'll run him anyway. I like him.
He's earned them, that's for sure. It's like earning your wings when you go flying. He's certainly earned that fire. Unfortunately, no one was injured in that crash, but the car was severely damaged. Ed Ohilski, the team owner, actually has gone ahead and purchased Rod Wheeler's number 01 car in the field tonight because they're limited on their chassis in the 55 team and their efforts to win the Pat Sharp-Memorial Rookie of the Year.
That's 4th, 5th, and 6th that you're looking at. Steve Carlson in the 87, Tim Sauter, the 55, and that one car of Kevin Sawinski. And just in front of them, the number 8 of Mike Garvey holds on to 3rd. So it's a 4-car freight train, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Having at it here. This half mile they call Wisconsin International Raceway. There's a drag strip here as well, which runs right parallel to the back straightaway. Right now these guys are going through 1 and 2. And as they pass the scoreboard on the back straightaway, right there is about, you can see the drag strip just off the side there. You can see the bridge.
As we talked about earlier, the concern will be that drag strip down the back straightaway into turn number 3 and how these cars will be able to pass under braking as Butch Miller and the number 2 car working the outside of Harold Fair.
And he's all the way up to 21st, Jim, starting dead last in the field tonight. Came up from Milwaukee, where he qualified his NASCAR Craftsman truck. 27th on the grid for the race down there tomorrow.
As we watch this battle here for the 20th position, as he enters turn 3, Scott Hansen, the leader, is already on the back straightaway. So Butch Miller trying to pass as many cars as he can before that white number 52 Chevrolet AFCO Racing Products car. Scott Hansen starts filling the mirrors.
Great to see Butch back behind the wheel of an ASA car. Such a great career competing on this tour. Kevin Hamlin is all crew chief, helping him win those championships, now working in Winston Cup Racing. Let's check in with Dave Burns.
Yeah, more on Butch Miller. I talked with Jim Daly, the crew chief, just asked him what about the pace and coming from the back like he has been. And he says Butch, obviously a master at something like this, is passing a bunch of cars, then he's laying back. So as he picks them off, he's also trying to conserve tires.
Of course, ASA not just a great training ground for drivers who move over to Winston Cup Racing, but a great training ground for crew chiefs as well. Butch's old crew chief, Kevin Hamlin, has his driver, Mike Skinner, on the pole for tomorrow's race at Daytona. That's their second pole of the year, claiming both of them at Daytona. Jimmy Fennick doing a great job working with Mark Martin down in the Winston Cup Tour now.
Not to mention the wealth of drivers that have raced at this racetrack and ASA and Artco sanctioned races like Dick Trickle, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin. Those guys have all raced on this racetrack at ASA.
There you see Brandon Sperling's black 51. Sliding on the inside was Jack Landis. And just behind Brandon is Mike Eddy, the Goodwrench Service Plus car. Sperling holds on to 7th. Eddy runs in 8th. Jack Landis is back in 25th position. So he is not fighting for the position with it. But look at this move here as Sawinski comes up on the outside of Garvey. We've seen a lot of moves on the inside. That's one of the first we've seen on the outside, Jim.
Sawinski taking his time working past this duo that's been continuing to battle for the 8 and the 87 car 4 position, number 5. Sawinski's worked around both of those cars, advanced to 4th. Carlson's car may not be as good as Sawinski's car on the outside.
And actually gives Sawinski 3rd now. Garvey slides back to 4th, and Carlson and the 55 of Sauter right after that. And look at him starting to pull away. Leader up front after 48 laps completed is Scott Hansen. 2-second lead as we continue to lap away here at Wisconsin International Raceway. The AC-Delco Challenge Series on TNN is brought to you in part by your GM Goodwrench service dealer. We want your business. Well, we are under yellow here at Wisconsin International Raceway. It came out about lap 50 when Scott Hansen out front. And we had a spin over in turns 1 and 2 involving Alec Pinsino and Scott Holzhausen. And I believe Brett Bell was in there as well. Watch the black car on the bottom.
It's Bill Baird in the 30, celebrating the 30th anniversary of ASA. They all checked up because the car ahead of them had spun Alec Pinsino to the inside.
And there goes Brett Bell around, hard on the brakes.
Holzhausen got some help.
Oh, look at Bob Seneker. He just missed tagging Brett Bell.
Thought the inside was open until he saw the 5 and the 6 right in the windshield of Brett Bell's car sitting sideways.
Well, he is the winningest driver in ASA competition. There's a good example of why he is so good. Bob Seneker, the 84 car, has 82 career victories in AC-Delco Challenge Series competition and did a beautiful job of driving there. He sits 11th in the field right now. Here's Mike Gopher's Black & Decker car. This is the second time this year that we've seen this, Jim, with this team.
The inlet of the, there has to be a match with that hose. They're not matching up with the car.
Sandy, you got more on that?
Well, they're working on it. They had a tough time. If you could look what they left here in the pit situation, they've got the speedy dry down. Yeah, they had a tough time. I don't know if they got any fuel in that car at all.
Mike Gopher, sports number 79 in honor of his former teammate Harris Barton of the San Francisco 49ers. Scott Hansen, still your leader, 54 laps down. Welcome back to Kaukauna, Wisconsin. WIR, they call it, Wisconsin International Raceway. There is Gary St. Amand, who sits second in the points. Looks like he's got a little damage to the nose of the Wins Chevy. There you can see it. Gary right now sits 7th in the field as we get set to go back to green. The lead car, Doug Mayer, is actually laps down. He'll move to the inside and Hansen will get around. Now Kevin Sawinski, the black number 1, sits in second. Let's see if he can keep up with Hansen. Tires were a big story on that first round of pit stops, Dave. How'd they look?
Well, Ralph, off of Scott Hansen's car, they look overall pretty good. But here's the thing for Hansen. He had a cut starting right here on this tire, and it was going to be a big one, kind of a gash down here. He's very fortunate that that yellow came out.
That's the kind of luck you need.
Also fortunate was Butch Miller. We talked about he was just a straightaway ahead of the leaders. He remains in 21st position, but he got that, now he's at the tail end of the race line rather than right ahead of the leaders, about to go a lap down. So a good fortune for Butch Miller in the 2 car. A lot of smoke coming out from Brett Bell's car off of turn number 4.
The black 88 of Mike Eddy, the Goodrich Service Plus machine, running in 10th right now as he comes up the inside of Brandon Sperling to take over the 9th position. So the 7-time champ on his way up through the field. Sandy Haig with more on Brett Bell, as you talked about. Looks like the whole rear end of the car is given away. He's cut down a right rear tire. I wonder if he hit the same thing that Hansen had run over.
Well, the left rear looked like it was out of whack. I think it may be a rear end alignment problem, perhaps a panhard bar.
Could be all of the above, because that right rear is definitely cut down. Kofer back in the pits too, in the Black & Decker car.
Also on the last caution, a couple of cars, including Rod Wheeler and Aaron Huff, also pulled it behind the wall to fix their problems.
And Joe Shear behind the wall. Sandy Hang with him.
We just missed the setup so bad. It was so bad I burned the brakes off of it already, so I just had to park it.
Bad.
Yeah, the car was really bad in the corners. I don't know what's wrong with it, but I had to use the brakes so hard I already burned them off.
We've heard that this track is tough on brakes.
Chalk went up for the brakes, taking the first victim, Joe Shear. Last time he sat in an ASA car was 1993. They tested here 2 weeks ago in that car, and Joe said they were really trying to struggle and find a good setup, and unfortunately their search continues.
Well, there's a possibility we might get to see Joe Shear behind the wheel of an ASA car again before the year is over. Sure hope so. It's a great addition to the series. We'll be right back. We're back, and Kevin Sawinski is taking the lead away from Scott Hansen here in Kaukauna, Wisconsin. You're watching the Wisconsin 300 live on TNN Motorsports on this 4th of July. Here's a look at the pass for the lead.
He had passed Mike Garvey on the outside to gain 3rd position. After pit stops, he was 2nd to Scott Hansen, and here he goes by the leader, outside line into turn number 3 to take over the 1st position.
Mike Chappie has given his driver a great handling race car once again. And remember, Sawinski started deep in the field tonight.
From the 14th position, I reminded him, I said, you know, Gary St. Amand, your arch rival in the points right now, when he won at IRP, he started 15th. So keep that in mind when you have to make your way through the field, and he's done so very quickly. Lap 71 in the books, and Sawinski, once again at the point. There's only been one race this year where Sawinski hasn't led an AC-Delco Challenge Series event.
His arch rival in that points chase, Gary St. Amand, sits 7th in the point standings now. Brett Bell, we showed you the rear end dropping down on his car. Here's a look at the Wonderbar crew working on it. But while we were away, look at this. The car erupts into flames. Brett bails out of the car while they had it up on jack stands going to work on it. Poor Brett Bell, Dave, cannot get any luck.
Yeah, Brett actually had 2 problems.
Well, when we spun down here, Dave, the J-bar bolt accidentally broke or came loose, and it shifted the rear end over, and evidently it came over and hit the electrical and got the alternator, and it just caused the electrical system in the car to short out. So I think we get this fixed, we can get back out there and get some laps in tonight.
Guys, I'm really glad he's out of there and okay, because he smells like smoke.
Gary St. Amant in the 7 car sits in 6th. Mike Eddy, the black number 88, he is in 7th position right now. That blue number 33 behind him is Brad Loney. He's in 8th, and Sauter is in 9th. And this is a good fight right here. Eddy trying to get to the inside. We've seen Sawinski making all his passes on the outside. Mike's coming up the bottom. Inside of Gary St. Amant as we fight for 6th position. No rubbing going on. Good, clean short track racing, and Mike Eddy will take the spot away. I wonder how much that damage on the front of the 7 is affecting the car. I wonder if he got some of the suspension in there.
We've had one caution, and during the spin of Alec Pincinel, Gary St. Amant got in the back end of Steve Holzhausen, spinning the number 5 Ford around, but you see the damage there. He got well under the rear bumper of Holzhausen as they all checked up going into turn 1. We see the fender now bowed. They're reaching speeds in excess of 115 miles an hour on the back straightaway, and these fiberglass bodies, they hold together well, but they also are made to shred rather than repairing a whole entire metal body and do a lot of tin work. These guys can bolt on brand new fiberglass fenders, but hopefully Gary won't have a lot of air getting under the hood, which may blast that bodywork apart.
There's that smoke out of the 33 Bun Saver car, Brad Loney, who runs in 8th. Tim Sauter chasing him from 9th position in the 55. We're told by the crew that they've had that smoke all day long, and they don't know what it's from. They think there's something rubbing in the back end of the car. Seems pretty obvious, but we don't know what. They don't know what, and it doesn't seem to be slowing them up any.
Loney's in 8th. Tim Sauter is in the 9th position. Brandon Sperling runs 10th, just out of view, but as they come down the backstretch, we'll see Sauter close in on Loney. Loney goes to the inside. Sauter unable to get her on the outside.
The fight for the lead heating up again. Sawinski, the number 1, hangs on to it, but Hansen coming after him. Talked to Scott's dad here today. There's 150 members of the Hansen family who live in Norway. A bunch of them are coming over here next week. Scott's dad's going to be picking them up, taking them over to South Dakota, where they're going to get a chance to watch Scott race for the first time on TV. And they're really excited about it. Apparently, inside the family, they all sport T-shirts over in Norway and carry the banner of Scott Hansen and are pretty proud of their family member here. But for the first time, they're actually going to get to see him in a race live on TV. Of course, that race coming to you live next week right here on TNN next Friday night from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And look at this fight heating up now. That's Tom Jones' 0 car in front of him, who is also smoking, it looks like. He's in 23rd. Oh, Sawinski gets a little loose coming off that corner. Hansen can't do anything with it because of Jones just in front of him. Here he comes to the bottom. Look at him slide. Hansen drops to the bottom groove, pulls right up alongside of him, and takes the lead. Great short track racing with the AC-Delco Challenge Series. Hi, buddy. You hear the spotter talking to Scott Hansen.
Sandy Hagen mentioned that Scott Hansen has a few tricks up his sleeve to pass cars off of turn number 4. He just called the marker and went way to the inside of Kevin Sawinski. Sawinski drifted out of turn 1 and 2. Hansen went to the bottom. He might have cost a little bit of tire wear because he was dirt tracking off that corner for sure.
Already opening up to a half a second lead is Scott Hansen. Garvey holds on to 3rd. Steve Carlson is 4th. Rick Beebe rides in 5th. Mike Eddy is 6th. St. Amant, Loney, Sauter, and Sperling round out the top 10.
The Wisconsin 300 is brought to you by the all-new Wide Track Grand Prix by Pontiac. Wider is better.
Mike Eddy goes to the outside of Steve Carlson to take away 4th position as we are working lap 93 of the scheduled 300 here at Kaukauna, Wisconsin. Mike Eddy will now go after Mike Garvey just in front of him. Now red, white, and blue with the stars, the number 8. The fight for 3rd. So Eddy, once again, Jim, making his way up through the field. The question that has hindered him all season long, his reliability.
It really has, and he's had some electrical problems. They fought through that. He had a second place finish and a third place finish just a few races ago heading into this event.
Well, he'll take third real easily right there away from Garvey. So now he'll go after Sawinski and Hansen, who are about a half a second in front of him right now.
Mike Eddy finished second at Berlin Raceway, third at IRP. And he followed up with a 24th place finish 1 week ago at I-70 Speedway. So it has been a roller coaster season, but we just thought he was turning the corner. Today's another page in the chapter of Mike Eddy getting back to the front of this ASA field.
That's 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th that you're looking at. Garvey, Carlson, Beebe, and Gary St. Amant, who holds on to the 7th position in the wins car. Here's a fight for the lead again. Sawinski this time on the inside of Hansen. Hansen in the 52 car, your leader, Junior Hanley, the Kendall Port City number 72. Struggling a little bit. He's back in 20th position, and we got a great side-by-side fight for that top slot.
For a second, I thought they may
behind them. Just there on the high side.
That's Mike Chaffee talking to Kevin Sawinski.
You're clear.
That's Mike telling him he's clear. He's got the lead. So on lap 98, they're back up front. Dave?
Well, Scott Hansen is your leader, and you've been hearing some radio chatter. The spotter for Scott is Jeff Millar. Now, Lynn Miller heard someone else calling clear.
Oh, he gets right into the back of Hanley. I'm sorry, Dave. Go ahead. This is going to maybe upset the lead here. Hansen will retake the lead from Sawinski, and Junior Hanley is going to get tapped again. They're trying to root him out of the way. Junior, one of the greatest stock car drivers ever out of Canada. We go 3 wide, down into 3. They go around the outside and the inside of Junior. There is Kevin's girlfriend looking on, Tracy cheering, hoping he can hang on. Kevin Sawinski will lead that lap. And look at Mike Eddy. Boy, we got a lot of bumping and banging going on here. Hansen now gets up into the door panel of Sawinski, and he'll take the lead back. Mike Eddy will sneak to the bottom. He's going to challenge for second. He'll take it. So Junior Hanley has played a huge part in this race, and he's running in 20th. And back behind them, more great side-by-side racing for 4th. Look at this. Junior's still in the mix, although, as we pointed out, he's deep in the field. Garvey holds onto it in 8th. Then Carlson in the 87 is in 5th. Phoebe, the 23, is 6th. And St. Amant, the 7 car, is in 7th position.
The last 10 laps, I felt like putting my hand over my face and keeping my fingers apart so I could watch, because I didn't know whether I wanted to close my eyes or watch some great 3-wide racing. Awesome move by Scott Hansen to the inside. Mike Eddy getting right around Sawinski. Sawinski may have burned up some tires there, trying to get back by the leader.
Unbelievable. 1/3 of the race complete. We're working lap 103, and now Mike Eddy coming right up the inside after Scott Hansen blows right behind him.
Take a look at him. You might need to know what he's doing.
You hear them telling Scott Hansen what to do. Follow Mike Eddy, watch his line, take note of it. Look at the fight for 3rd. Carlson inside at Garvey. I'll tell you what, if you're not enjoying this, short track stock car racing just is not your game. This is fantastic racing tonight. Well, we promised you fireworks, and these guys are delivering here early on.
Mike Eddy qualified 11th, and at the lap 50 caution, all the leaders came in. He came out 10th. He's passed 9 cars on the racetrack to gain the lead after that change in the pits.
Jim, we've said it all season long. Mike Eddy is very fast in that Goodwrench Service Plus car. The problem for him is being there at the end of the race so far this year. Reliability took him out in the early stages of the season. 2 incidents took him out of 2 races in Michigan. He should have won. And Scott Hansen claims that this race here at Wisconsin International Raceway is his Daytona 500, so you know he's laying it all out on the line tonight. Mike Eddy has led over 16,000 laps in ASA competition, the all-time highest. That's amazing, over 16,000 laps.
Laps led, not just completed.
That's right, that's laps. And here comes Hansen back inside. He'll try to do something with Billy Turner's car in front of him, can't do it.
As we listen in, thanks to our friends at Racing Electronics, to the Hansen strategy. At this point in the race, I believe Hansen doing exactly what he wants to do. He knows that they're going to pit. There's going to be another cycle of pit stops to close up the stagger if they elect to do that. Right now, Hansen can't stay with him.
And you see Kevin Sawinski trying to close back in. And he has already built up a 0.6 of a second lead over Scott Hansen. 109 laps of great short track racing in the books with the American Speed Association, coming to you live from Kaukauna. Beautiful sunset here at Kaukauna, Wisconsin. The Wisconsin 300 is why we have come up here. We're just south of Green Bay. And if you like your short track racing, try this on for size. In 6 laps of competition, we had 5 lead changes. And that's the guy on top of it all right now. The 7-time AC-Delco Challenge Series champion, Mike Eddy, looking for his first win in 1997. Leads with 118 laps completed of the scheduled 300. Tom Jones is zero hero. He's got a congratulations Chicago Bulls sticker on his hood. That, of course, his favorite NBA team. Lives in the Chicago area. But the Bulls didn't smoke, Sandy, but he is.
He is smoking. His team says that he's got a left rear tire going down, so he's hoping for a caution at this point. He does have a secret weapon behind the wall. This is a laser thermometer. Look at this. They can check the tire temperature by pressing a button, and there it is. It's a pretty neat little gadget, don't you think?
Device from his race sponsor, Pace Race Jacks, coming out with that new product.
Works a lot better when your tires aren't going down, though. He's hanging on, too. You see Loney and Sauter sliding past him. They're fighting for 8th. Look at Sauter to the inside. That's Tim Sauter, the 55 with the flames on the nose. He'll get the 8th position away from Brad Loney. The Bunsaver Pontiac is smoking as well. They say something is running on the inside in the back end of the car. We're not sure what from, but he's been able to keep it up inside that top 10 all evening long. We should also point out that Rod Wheeler is out.
Had an oil leak in the 01 car. Unfortunately, they were behind the wall. Brett Bell continues to work on that Panhard bar.
Aaron Huff is out as well in the 86 Lee Zinn car.
Had an engine problem in that car. He had to roll out the backup after a hard impact 1 week ago. Aaron Huff not only extremely sore, but short on race cars. He brought out the backup car they used a year ago. Had some ignition problems and now some motor problems with that car. Just rolled out of the back room.
And if you just tuned in, Joe Shear, who started this race in the 99, is also out. He had brake problems. Those are the only cars, 4 of them behind the wall. 31 cars started tonight, 27 of them still racing.
We've had just 1 caution at lap 50 for 3 cars spinning. Brett Bell's spin ultimately caused his damage. Other cars involved were the 93 Valaquinsono and the 5 of Steve Holtzhausen. And Holtzhausen was put around when Gary Santamont couldn't woe down in time. But Gary seems to be doing all right. He's up into the 6th position now.
Hansen has slipped all the way back to 4th position. That's the white 52 you see. The white with the red 87 is Steve Carlson. He sits in 3rd. Eddy leads it. Sawinski is 2nd. Carlson 3rd. Hansen 4th. Rick Beebe is 5th. Santamont is 6th. Mike Garvey, Tim Sauter, Brad Loney, and Brandon Sperling, your top 10. Mike Miller, Dave Sensiba, who is beat up from a crash last week at I-70. He runs in 12th. Butch Miller all the way up to 13th. The former ASA champ on the charge.
Probably likes to leave the tire.
Joey Knott runs in 14th. Kevin Noodleman doing a great job in 15th. The sneaker, Bob Seneker, runs in 16th. Smokestad, Baird, Harold Fair, and Steve Holtzhausen round out the top 20.
You mentioned Kevin Noodleman. He is a driver that competes weekly at La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway. He's a 6-time track champion there, but he's also going to try to make 8 ASA starts this season with his sponsor Sitco and Dutch Mill Trucking.
Sawinski trying to hold on to 2nd place. Here comes Carlson up the inside.
Coming on the 79 on the bottom.
Carlson inside has the position, but has to give it back up as Mike Kofer's Black & Decker car hugs the bottom groove. Harold Fair, the AC-Delco 81 just in front of him, and look at Sawinski loose.
And we have the luxury luxury of listening on both Kevin Sawinski and Scott Hansen as they negotiate through lap traffic. We'll see if Sawinski can handle and manhandle the 81 of Harold Fair for position. Harold Fair is in 19th. Sawinski running second to our leader, Mike Eddy.
The 87 car on the bottom.
Good right ahead of you. Got to go high.
Oh, Bob Seneker in the 84 car gets spun around.
Right side tires.
Loses the whole front nose of the car.
Left side tires. Keep her the same.
You hear the crews talking to the drivers, telling them what they can expect when they make their pit stops. Seneker has the car rolling, and then he brought it to a stop. We can see him moving around in the car, but heavy front end damage. The second caution coming out on lap 129. Dave?
Well, Bob Seneker had big problems tonight. First, he was too tight, and when they finally got that first yellow, they went way too far and made him very, very loose. So Bob Seneker's been manhandling a big handling car for the last several laps.
Well, it looks like win number 83 will not come on this night. The winningest driver in ASA competition won the championship back in 1990. Let's check in with Sandy Hay.
Well, you see his moving around the car. They're taking on 2 right side tires and fuel. Just beyond Eddie's pit is Mike Miller's pit. You'll notice he's been dropping back. He's been battling a loose condition. His crew will be trying to get that car back in shape, and Eddie is down and away.
Kevin Sawinski's number 1 completes its service. He goes back out. Carlson is out as well. And let's go to Steve Carlson's pit with Dave Burns.
Well, yeah, Mike Garvey was working very hard to get in the pits as well. They had a left rear tire that they just had to get off the car. The car was out of control, so they're very happy to be in here and out again, Mike Garvey.
So, with the second yellow completed, the Racing Channel. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Kaukauna. There you see the front end damage of Bob Seneker's Bluebird. Kevin Sawinski is the leader here on lap 133, and courtesy of the folks at Racing Electronics, we have an opportunity to talk to him. Kevin Sawinski, Ralph Shaheen, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Ralph.
Kevin, you've had quite a battle up front all night long with Scott Hansen and Mike Eddy. Tell me about the incident where you and Scott got together racing side by side. Was that just good, clean, short track racing?
Yeah, it really was. You know, I was trying to keep Scott down as low as I could keep him, and we just got into each other a little bit. Nothing serious. I'll tell you that the Favorite Racing team has given me a good pit stops again tonight. Hopefully we can bring it home for them.
Tell me about the tire wear. How is your car handling, and are the tires wearing the way you thought they would?
Well, the tires are going pretty quick, and the car is just a little tight on entry. We're using a little more brake than we really want to, but I think it's going to take at least 2, maybe 3 more stops, and that should take us through the end of the race.
Kevin, thanks for talking to us, and best of luck to you tonight.
Thanks a lot, Ralph.
Sawinski able to get the lead back. As we mentioned, the guys in the pits have done a great job.
Well, there you see Bob Seneker's car. Let's take a look at this replay.
Ted Smokestad is going to get in the back end of Bob Seneker. They may have checked up for another car going into turn 4, but see the guardrail literally shred and eat up the front end of that Lane Automotive Ford.
Not only that, but did you see how Mike Eddy's luck has changed? He missed that incident. He was right behind Smokestad. Seneker is down there. Dave, you got him?
Yep, let's ask Bob what happened. Bob, we knew you went from tight to loose, and what happened to get you out of shape?
I got tagged in the tail by somebody. I don't know who it was. Just one of those deals. We got the inside fence, tore the nose off it, and we're done for the day.
Now, the tires have been a concern. Were they out from under you by the time you needed to come in?
Well, I think they're out from under most of us. Yeah, the tires are too soft. It's a problem.
And it's a problem just because that is the softest compound that Goodyear makes, guys. And guess what? We're going to use them next week at Cedar Rapids, too.
And that's a racetrack that Bob Seneker runs extremely well at. Has done great every time we've been there, so maybe better things ahead for him. Kevin Sawinski leads this. Here comes Mike Eddy, that black 88, trying to get inside of Steve Carlson. That is a fight for second. The Trop Arctic Cleanburn car holding on to that position. Howard Thomas is a crew chief from Mike Eddy, and Sandy's with him.
Look at one of Mike's tires. This is the right front. Mike just raced the rubber off this thing. Howard, how did this tire handle? What do you think about the tire wear?
Well, Mike said he really didn't know the difference. He said the car was fine. I don't know. It looks kind of like the tire may have a bad bond, this particular tire, because it's the only one that's done it.
The right front doesn't looks bad, but the other does not. Your rear tire looked okay. What did you think about that?
The rear tire it was wore a lot, but it looked fine.
Does Mike have it to finish the race with the checker flag?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Does Mike have the car to finish the race and take the checkers?
Oh, I believe it. We'll have to stop a couple more times for tires because it's really wearing them. So I think we're in pretty good shape.
Hey, that's Howard Thomas, crew chief for Mike Eddy.
St. Amant diving inside. This is for 5th position. He'll take it. Rick Beebe's going to come with him. Here comes Hansen as well. Garvey getting hung out on the outside. Dave Sensiba sticks his nose in there. Beaten and battered as Dave Sensiba is, that red and white number 6. He's going to move up a spot too. Garvey still can't get to the bottom. Loney coming by. Sperling coming by. Joey Knott now in the 48. Boy, it's like getting hung out on a giraffe.
On the restart, 5 laps ago, Mike Garvey went into turn number 1, nearly spun out going into turn number 2. There is a definite handling problem on this truck country number 8.
Fight for the lead. Eddy to the inside of Sawinski. No tire problems there. He takes the spot. 141 laps completed, and Mike Eddy leads him again. We'll be back for more from Wisconsin International Raceway right after these words. Well, unfortunately, the two cars with the newest and coolest looking paint schemes on the track today are now scratched. The 30th anniversary car of Bill Baird and the patriotic car of Mike Garvey. They just got together along with Jack Landis down in turn number 2. This is only the 3rd caution of the night. Here's Garvey's number 8. He had been running up in the top 5 for a good portion of the evening until this last restart. Now you can see the whole rear tail section off. That big red thing you see is the fuel cell.
Well, there goes the rear bumper cover.
And look at this, Noodleman having his problems. The Midwest Fuel Sitco number 21 with a cut down left front.
With the heavy contact in turn 2, I would only guess that he had some contact or maybe just ran over some debris from that incident.
Now we should be seeing him at least 7 more times before the season is over. And Mike Eddy's going to take advantage of this to get some left side tires on the Good Wrench Services Plus number 88. And let's go to Dave Burns.
Steve Carlson comes in for a quick pit stop on the right-hand side. They put 2 new Goodyear Racing Eagles in. Fill the tank to 22 gallons full. He's going to get beat out by Mike Eddy, but a good pit stop for the Baker Motorsports crew.
Oh, and
Steve
look
Carlson.
at Hansen get into Dave Sensiba. As they dropped Sensiba down off the jacks, Hansen ran right into the back of the number 6.
Son of a bitches.
And he's not happy about it.
Second time Hansen's been blocked in, according to the driver, in the pit lane. They had to push his car backwards to get him out the last time they came down pit lane. He wasn't going to put up with it that time.
Scott Hansen's number 52 now with that left quarter panel just ripped off. And look at Hansen is not pleased with Sensiba at all. And they're exchanging pleasantries. Well, we said to Scott at the beginning of the show that for Scott Hansen, this is his Daytona 500. A 5-time track champion here. Has won everything there is to win at this racetrack except for an ASA race. And obviously, his chances here tonight are going to be slimmer after this. Watch this. You see the red and white car of Sensiba, and here comes Hansen, the white car out of the pits and right into him.
1 week ago, the 52 of Hansen and the 33 of Brad Loney got together, exiting pit lane very similar to this. They locked front wheels that knocked Hansen out of the race. 2 laps down, he finished in the 18th position at his home racetrack. Nothing better to do than win an ASA race. He's done everything else here. This may have cost him some toe-in, toe-out problems, and as they take the fender off, Hansen's not too concerned about how the car will steer at this point.
You see his crew chief at the back trying to keep him calm. They got the fender ripped off. It's going to be a while, I think, before Hansen cools off. Make sure you tune into Race Day, Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, live on TNN to get all the highlights of tonight's Wisconsin 300. Race Day, Rick Benjamin and the gang, Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern, live on TNN. This is a great fight brewing here between Dave Sensiba and the 6th car. He is in 7th. Brad Loney's 33 is in 8th, and Mike Miller is up to 9th. Now, the driver of that red and white number 6, Dave Sensiba, had a serious crash at I-70 last week, Jim. tore up some ligaments in his knee. He's going under the knife on Tuesday.
They did some arthroscopic preliminary surgery on Tuesday. He did therapy on the knee Wednesday and Thursday. This is his right knee. He said he can't move his knee, but his foot can work the gas pedal, but he'd like to have full motion in case he has to get hard on the brakes or lift off the gas entirely.
And as we said, he's going back under the knife this coming Tuesday. See what he has to do before Cedar Rapids next weekend. And there's a look at the mid-race summary. 5 leaders so far, but they've changed the lead 11 times, and it's been really exciting to watch that develop up front. Brandon Sperling's Black 51 now closing into this 3-car battle. He is in 10th. Those 4 cars all running together.
Easily Brandon Sperling's best run of the season. Brad Loney, a pair of second-place finishes on the year in the 33 car now sits the inside of Sensiba as they negotiate turns 1 and 2 here at Wisconsin International Raceway. Sensiba giving a wave to Loney. He may be letting him by on the inside or just saying, let me get through the corner. We'll see what you can do down the straightaway.
And look who's coming into this picture as Loney slides to the inside to take the position away from Dave Sensiba. That is 7th position changing hands. Car number 2 started dead last tonight. The former ASA champion, Butch Miller, coming up on the inside of Brandon Sperling. This is for 10th position. What a great run Butch Miller is having. One of the best short track drivers ever, fighting up through the field tonight.
Mentioned Butch Miller qualified for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race this afternoon. Tonight on the way up, his wife Donna stopped by our little broadcast area and said, guys, we made it. I can't believe the ride we had. The state trooper pulled us over. We told him what we were doing. He said, let's just slow it down, get to the racetrack with a little less speed. But they got out of a speeding ticket, but they sure were flying up here as Butch Miller's flying his way through the field in that 2-car.
Going quickly tonight, sits 7th in those Craftsman Truck point standings. Does Butch.
Now these 2 drivers, Dave Sensiba and Mike Miller, had some words after last race. They were running 4th and 5th on the racetrack when there was contact, sending Sensiba's car at I-70 Speedway hard into the turn 4 wall. That wrecked the car that they had run most of the season. This car was damaged at IRP 2 weeks ago. They just got that car back. It was a bare frame in the rear clip area where they had to replace it 5 days ago. So they've certainly done a yeoman's work in that 6-car with getting that Port City chassis back together for the West Michigan Auto Auction and Leroy Troop's team.
And they are fighting for 8th position, our Miller Lite news and notes. As you see it, the Winston Cup qualifying underneath. As you look at the fight for the lead with Mike Eddy and Gary St. Amant and Steve Carlson, 3 cars fighting for the lead.
Coming on the 11 car on the bottom.
That was Mike Chaffee coaching his driver, Kevin Sawinski, through.
Mike Eddy holding that bottom line. St. Amant trying to hold him off on the top groove. Working lap 168. And Mike Eddy will take the lead. Here comes Carlson to the inside. Now it's a fight for second. Carlson powers through.
These cars have 18 laps fresher tires on the left sides than Gary St. Amant. St. Amant elected to stay out on the racetrack.
Tim Sauter runs in 4th. Sawinski is 5th. Rick Beebe is 6th. Loney, Miller, and Mike Miller. And then Brandon Sperling, the top 10. Sensiba, Knott, Smokestad, Hansen, and Kevin Noodleman, the top 15. Dave?
Guys, Gary St. Amant, remember at the beginning of the race, he dropped back significantly? Well, get this. His window net was down, and he knew if they did anything about it or said anything about it, ASA would be pulling him in. It nerved him to no end, and he fell right back. Well, they couldn't get it up during the middle of a pit stop, so Gary, on the yellow flag laps that followed, put it up himself, and he fixed his own problem.
Mike Garvey on the bottom, who was involved in that incident with Bill Baird, he now runs all the way back in 16th position. Gary's sailing along pretty smoothly right now. Here's a fight for the lead. Mike Eddy holding off Steve Carlson at this point, the Clean-Burn Trop Arctic 87. The car that Tony Raines took to the 1996 AC-Delco Challenge Series title. Howie Ledow won his first championship as a crew chief last year.
His team also won the inaugural race here at the WIR with Tony Raines behind the wheel. They came here with the road race brakes on the car to last. We hear now from the pit lane. Sandy Hanger reports Mike Miller has a fading brake problem. So Miller, one of the contenders tonight and a contender in the points, having some brake problems where obviously Carlson doesn't experience that at this point in the race.
Tim Sauter to the inside of St. Amant for third. Sawinski coming along with him for fourth. And it's good to see Tim Sauter running up front, finally at a racetrack he knows.
This is his rookie season, but he's competed in the 2 previous ASA events here in 95 and 96 in 2 different rides. But as he's getting the season together, it's just like coming home. There's 3 races in Wisconsin. This team last weekend at I-70 Speedway was out to lunch. They'd never seen the Speedway before. They came home with a respectable finish, but coming back home, there's nothing like home cooking and seeing your wife and kids at the racetrack. As Tim Sauter in the 55 car is certainly putting on a great race. He's 116 points out of the Pat Sharman-Well Rookie of the Year lead to Steve Carlson, the car that's just ahead of him on the racetrack.
Here's that battle up front again. Eddie, Carlson.
Now, Sauter could finish 10th a week ago. We'll see what he can do at a racetrack he's familiar with. It looks like a very impressive run for that guy.
We're past the halfway point. 175 laps completed. Dave?
We're staying pace here with Bon Suss, who is a tire specialist for Kevin Sawinski. Currently, with the tires that they're using up tonight, they don't have all the sizes that they need, and Bond is out shopping. He's already found 2 Goodyear Eagles from the 56 car of Brett Bell that dropped out, and currently he's working his way back up toward his own pit, seeing what he can find.
This will be a precious commodity here tonight.
And some of the teams, with knowing that this tire compound is the same as Cedar Rapids next week, want to get those tires ahead of time so they can inflate them and get them to the right size they want for next race 1 week from tonight, live here on TNN. So there definitely is a shortage of decent tires, or at least the size that that team wants.
Two drivers who don't necessarily have a whole lot to say, let all their talking take place behind the steering wheel.
Mike Eddy, a 7-time champion, 12th in points coming into this race. Two top 5 finishes highlight Mike Eddy's year. He should have had 2 wins by now, but circumstances, as you mentioned earlier, Ralph, have taken him out of victory circle. Steve Carlson winning earlier this year, leading the rookie points, and coming into this event, Steve Carlson, that clean-burn Trop Arctic Pontiac, overall sits 7th in points.
Now look at the right front brake on Mike Eddy. It is glowing red. Now in order for those brakes to get that hot, that means the temperature on that right front brake caliper is at least 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's when they glow red. If we see it glowing white later on, that means it's up to 1,400 degrees. So right now, that is a minimum of 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, making that brake glow red like that. They run a carbon metallic pad, and if that thing afterwards, they probably will just have to junk that and throw it away.
And of course, metallurgy school is part of your background, Ralph. Nice coverage there. We're going to find out by degrees how the colors change on these rotors.
Yeah, that's the only thing I did well in school. Mike Eddy taking Steve Carlson to school right now. Leading this one, 182 laps completed of the scheduled 300. Classic bow bump for you, and look at this fight going on. The 55 on the outside of Tim Sauter, the 1 of Kevin Sawinski on the bottom group. Noodleman just in front of him. That's the fight for third. The position goes to Sawinski.
Noodleman's in the 15th position, but that battle right behind him certainly is heating up as something's flapping on the bottom of the 21 car off the left front tire. All eyes now on the 1 car of Sawinski in the front stretch.
He blows right past Noodleman. Sauter coming right with him.
Noodleman had a tire go down, something obviously hitting the brake duct as he came in the pits. He's had a great race in that 21 car, but it just cost him just that little bit of handling. This only his 3rd ASA start in that 21 car, now following Tim Sauter to the stripe.
Eddy, Carlson, Sawinski, Sauter, Beebe, your top 5. St. Amant, Butch Miller up to 7th. Loney, Sperling, Dave Sensiba, the top 10. Now, Scott Hansen, you see right there in the 52, is back up to 11th. Dave, are there handling problems for that car?
According to crew chief Lynn Miller, Ralph, there are no handling problems. This is the fender that came off of the left front of Hansen's car. PBR probably about 87% now. You can see the construction of the fiberglass bodies here. A lot of layering going on underneath here, and of course the candy coating, which includes at least 3 layers of paint.
PBR, of course, percentage of bodywork remaining. Term you'll get to know in short track racing and how it can affect the car.
Hansen had to come back in after that debris. The left front fender was hanging off the car, so instead of being in 6th in the running order on the restart, just ahead of Dave Sensiba, he came out about 18th after making a second unscheduled stop down pit lane under our most recent caution. So he's made his way back up to 11th. He's really been working his way through traffic. I'm thinking he might have abused his tires trying to get back to the front.
Leaders going around Mike Kofer, Mike Getty, Steve Carlson. Two of the best crew chiefs in the business working on these two cars. Howard Thomas spinning the wrenches for Mike Getty, and Howie Ledow doing the chores on the 87 car.
Torch did a little research. Mike Getty only his 3rd ASA start here.
Fight for 6th. Look at this. Butch Miller in the 2 car inside of Gary St. Amant. And the former champ going to be a player. Started 31st, dead last in the field. 197 laps completed. Butch Miller runs in 6th. Gary St. Amant now slots back to 7th. He's 2nd in points. Needs a good finish here, Dave.
And he led laps out there, Ralph, after the last caution so that he could gain 5 bonus points. According to his dad, that was the plan, and he ran it hard. Now he's just trying to save it and hang on until they can catch another caution.
I believe the best finish Gary St. Amant has ever had in the state of Wisconsin was a 4th at Milwaukee. And he says, you know, that's very unusual for him here in the Badger State. He really gets pounded on. He's really hoping to get a good finish here. He needs that.
Closing in on 200 starts, there's been more races added in his 12-year career in the state of Wisconsin for the AC-Delco Challenge Series. 3 visits to the Dairyland State this season.
Looks like the smoke is stopped down to the backside of Brad Loney's number 33. He runs at 8th, chasing St. Amant. That's the fight for 7th. You'll see that Loney's brakes are glowing red hot. Brandon Sperling right behind him in 9th.
200 laps completed, and yeah, it's cherry red, all right.
Smoke is still there. I'm wrong about that.
Mike Sinitko, crew chief for Gary St. Amant, looking intently on as they have battled some front-end damage after an earlier incident.
That's a real family affair, too. Gary's whole family comes to all the races. His father, Bud, his mom, his sister. Been working on Gary's race cars forever. Of course, Gary's dad was a big racer.
And Gary's teamed up with Bud Gevin and Automotive Promotions to field the Wins West Michigan Chevrolet. They have had a great run, and Gary hasn't been in the shop since the first race of the year. He's focused on sponsorship commitments and other things away from the racetrack, which makes him more relaxed, I believe, on race weekends.
You're hearing Gary Spotter talking to him. Mike Getty still leads it with 202 laps completed. Can Mike Getty get his first win in 97? Stay with us to find out. Mike Getty looking for his 55th career victory in AC-Delco Challenge Series competition. Here at WIR is where he could get it. Ralph Shaheen, Jim Trado, Sandy Hang, and Dave Burns with you as we bring you live ASA racing on the leader in ASA coverage, TNN. Some 15 ASA races coming to you live this year on the Nashville Network. We hope you're enjoying it here on this 4th of July. Steve Carlson in that white 87 car on the outside sits in 2nd. Kevin Sawinski's number 1. He's the points leader, the Rookie of the Year from last year. He's running in 3rd. Sauter, the white and blue with the flames, and car number 55 runs in 4th. Rick Beebe's yellow 23 is in 5th. Butch Miller is 6th, Loney 7th, Sperling is 8th, St. Amant is 9th, Hansen now up to 10.
Hansen, I believe, will be catching these guys, but unable to pass them. He used his tires up in the ensuing laps right after our last caution. He had a bump in the pits with Dave Sensiba's car, peeled the left front fender off. Right. Last race, he lost 2 laps fixing the problem, then they brought him in for 20 circuits, so he did finish 18th. The last thing he wanted was another problem in consecutive weeks on pit lane.
Dave Burns with more on the Tim Sauter story.
Well, Terry Evans is the lead horse in the Leo Motorsports Stampede. You guys are looking really good tonight. What's the strategy from here on out?
Well, we got 1 right side tire change to come, and the car's very stable, and we're just going to finish it up here. We said we want to be here in the end, and that's where we're at. We're going to be here in the end.
You're pretty proud of Timmy right now?
What was that?
Pretty proud of Timmy right now.
Oh, you bet. He's doing a great job for us, and Leo Motorsports, we're Chevrolet. Pontiac is just doing excellent.
I think it's a good look at what this team is really capable of, guys.
They just added another car to their stable, buying the car from Rod Wheeler here tonight. They're going to take it home with them.
And he just gotten by his rookie contender for the overall Rookie of the Year status. He just got by Steve Carlson. Tim Sauter up to third. Carlson back to fourth with Rick Beebe. And that St. Louis gear Pontiac that sat on the pole sits fifth.
We started with 31 cars. Only 5 cars are out of it. Bob Seneker, Brett Bell, Rod Wheeler, Joe Shear, and Aaron Huff all behind the wall. We gave you the top 10. Sensiba, Mike Miller, Ted Smokestadt, Joe Knott, Noodleman, all in the top 15. Junior Hanley, Harold Fair, Mike Garvey, Billy Turner, and Jack Landis round out the top 20.
14 cars remain on lead lap. We see Junior Hanley once again getting lapped by these cars. Hanley, that Team Kendall Chevrolet, his experience here at Wisconsin International Raceway was one race, twin 50 lappers in 1981. He was at Talladega Superspeedway, flew in, ran the 50s. He finished third in the first one, won the second one on August 1st, 1981. That was the last time he was here, and I said, anything special about this racetrack? And Junior's like, just another racetrack. He didn't say a lot to me about the racing surface, but you can tell he's a little bit off in that 72 car.
The 6th car to go behind the wall tonight will be Tom Jones. Sandy?
Tom Jones, Jonesy, what happened?
Well, it looks like something went away in the engine again. It seems like this year has just been, we've been plagued with the same kind of engine woes the whole year long. Just oil leaks and valve train problems, and just one of those years, I guess.
Now, don't tell me you're even practicing your speech for Hard Luck Driver. The season's not over yet.
Yeah. Well, it's getting pretty close to over for us the way it's going. I don't know what we're going to do yet. We have to see next week. I don't know.
It's Tom Jones out of the race.
1993, Tom got his first ever ASA win, Jennerstown Speedway, the season finale. Mike Eddy, he's got 54 victories to his credit, looking for number 55 here tonight. Be the first one in 1997. Stick around and see if he can pull it off. A big shakeup in the point standings coming now. Second place points man, Gary St. Amant.
Put the belt off. Got a caller good.
Brings the 7 car behind the wall. You hear the crew talking to him.
You're out of the way, guys. The caution flag's out.
Caution flag comes out. Roger Slack waving the yellow flag. This would be the 4th one of the night. Debris out on the racetrack, and Gary St. Amant gets pushed back behind the wall. The Bud Kevin crew taking the wins. Lane Automotive, Chevy back behind the wall. What a tough break for Gary St. Amant. Again, that Wisconsin bad luck biting him one more time.
He's really only had one other race that he's had a problem. The car overheated the first race, but St. Amant's been so strong. 2 wins this season, second in the points coming to this one. This will hurt deeply.
Mike Eddy pits. Sandy?
Mike Eddy is in. He's taking on 2 right side tires. Mike changed engine programs this year. He went with K-Tech. I was at K-Tech last week. Warren Freese was telling me they called, and the secretary said, Mike Eddy's on the line. He said, you've got to be kidding. He's the enemy. But it is Mike Eddy. He's got a K-Tech. He's down and away.
Dave Burns?
Kevin Sawinski, he is down and away, and he beats them all. The crew again for Sawinski doing a great job changing right side tires for him, topping off the fuel, and Kevin was moving around, squirming and squirming inside his seat as if he was trying to reposition himself and reset his belts.
Now the Kevin Sawinski fan club, boy, they are a dedicated bunch. In fact, there's one lady here with him tonight who even dressed up as a bumblebee, which is kind of becoming the Janet Billings. Dressed up like that bumblebee is kind of becoming the mascot for Kevin Sawinski. The number 1 is the points leader. Right now, he sits second out on the racetrack. We're going to take a quick break while everybody gets filled up. There's Janet. Looking good on this 4th of July.
The Wisconsin 300 is brought to you by Wagner, the power to do it.
We are back to WIR in Kaukauna, Wisconsin, and we're about to go back to green where Kevin Sawinski will lead Tim Sauter and Mike Eddy and Scott Hansen to the line. That is your top 4. Steve Holshausen, the black number 5, his laps down. He is 23rd on the field. Moves to the inside. Sauter had a great pit stop, Jim, as did Sawinski, in pit position, making a huge difference for them.
It was a huge advantage for Kevin Sawinski as we see Tim Sauter trying to take the lead away and lead his first laps in ASA competition this year.
And you saw the contact shedding some stuff off of the cars and rolling up the racetrack, probably tire rubber. Sawinski holds off Sauter for this.
Based on points, ASA picked pit positions 1 race ago. Coming into this, they said it's a one-day show. We need to line up the pits according to points. You lead the points, you pick first. Sawinski picks pit stall number 1. Tim Sauter is 11th in points. 12th in points is Mike Eddy. Mike Eddy was leading before this caution, but he came out 3rd on the racetrack. Simply put, Sawinski and Sauter may have had the same time on pit lane as Mike Eddy, but he lost track position because of where he's pitted halfway down this front stretch pit.
This race scheduled for 300 laps. 232 of them are completed. There you see Hansen. Remember, he had the contact with Dave Sensiba during a pit stop earlier in the race. He sits in 4th, and apparently the damage has not hurt him at all.
And Torch has corrected me. Tim Sauter did lead 15 laps at Peach State Speedway earlier this year, so Sauter, if he could get to the point, this crowd would go crazy for the Nacina, Wisconsin driver.
Torch, of course, our world-famous scorer, statistician, and all-around good guy.
Kevin Sawinski has led the most laps this season in 6 events. He's led all but 1 of the 8 events contested so far this year.
Top 5 cars running nose to tail. Rick Beebe, the pole sitter, running in 5th. Brad Loney is in 6th. He's right behind them.
GM Goodwrench Service Plus, the sponsor on Mike Eddy's car. Determined, gritty.
It's
like another Goodwrench driver.
It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out for Mike Eddy. He has been in position to win earlier in the season and has had little things knock him out at the end of the race. We'll have to see how the cards lay out tonight. Gary St. Amant sat 2nd in the points. He will be credited with a 25th position here tonight. That's not what he was hoping for, Dave.
Yeah, and last year, Ralph, he came to Kaukauna leading the points. He left without the point lead for the last time that season. Gary, tonight you had a number of problems. You had a tire going down there at the end, but what made it terminal?
Well, what happened to the Wins Chevrolet Monte Carlo was we lost the mandrels off the front of the engine. The belt that drives the dry sump pump, the oil pump, fell off, and I think we caught it. You know, I'm sure it hurt the engine a little bit, but we got to shut off pretty quick, and I guess we'll try and get him a Cedar Rapids.
Now, you're not having a bad year. How are you doing mentally with a placing like this tonight?
Well, you know, we got to take one race at a time. You know, we're not even to the halfway point of the season yet. And, you know, we gotta keep the team up, and you know, we get to Cedar Rapids next weekend. We got to go there and kick some butt.
And Ralph, as we sat here watching the race unfold in front of us, Gary looked at the 88 car and said, nobody's going to beat Mike tonight.
Well, he sits in 3rd right now. We'll see what he can do with it. Kevin Sawinski is the leader. Sauter is 2nd. Here comes Eddy, rooting his way past Sauter. Sticks his nose up under there and just roots Sauter up a half a groove and comes on by. Now Hansen does the same. Comes right past him. He'll take away 3rd. You see here the spotter talking to him.
Sauter took a hard left to keep Rick Beebe behind him because he might have been outside heck for another 2 laps or so and would have been able to get back down, but he did get down in front of that yellow 23 of Garvey to hold on to that 4th position.
Well, we saw how that killed Mike Garvey earlier tonight. Loney behind them. That's all the way back to 6th position. There's Beebe. Came into this race as a pole sitter. We'll work our way back through the field. There's first with Sawinski. 2nd is Mike Eddy, the 88 car. I'll show you each of the cars as we work our way back through the field. Looking for his 55th career win here tonight, his first of 1997. 7-time champ. Scott Hansen calls this race here at WIR his Daytona 500. He's 5 times he's won the track championship. Did it here in consecutive seasons, but has never won an ASA race at Kaukauna. Tim Sauter going for Pat Schauer Rookie of the Year honors. Holding on to 4th, doing a great job, and Rick Beebe right behind him. Sits in 5th. Says it's his favorite racetrack right here at Kaukauna. Behind them, Brad Loney, the 33 car. Has to fight for fourth.
Well, we saw Sauter get hard on the brakes there. He's really feeling the pressure from Rick Beebe's car going to turn 3.
Loney has had 2 second-place finishes in recent weeks. Looking to improve on that. Next weekend, he'll be the center of attention. The first of 2 races at Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which you will see both of those live here on TNN. His home racetrack. Boy, they go crazy for Brad Loney at Hawkeye Downs. Dave Sensma, he's going to go have some surgery on that right knee on Tuesday, but right now, he sits in 7th in the West Michigan Chevy dealer's car.
He does have his right knee braced in the car. He wears a different brace outside the race car, and he had his foot up during the driver autograph session just prior to the start of this race on a barrel to keep some of the pressure off the knee.
Carlson has been a threat here all night long. Leader in the Pat Shaw Rookie of the Year points. He sits in 8th position right now, former ARCA champ. Brandon Sperling, you saw the piece on him earlier tonight. Loves to put some adventure into his life, and what an adventurous night, sitting inside the top 10 with a solid 9th place effort. Joe Knott told me earlier tonight he's going to have his first Busch Grand National race coming up at IRP in August. Right now, he is hanging on to 10th position with Ted Smokestad's trim class number 32, giving him a whale of a fight from 11th. Smokestad looking to the outside, tugging back on the inside. Joe Knott will be joining a lot of other former ASA drivers down in the Busch Tour, like Jay Sauter, or I should say Glenn Allen. Jay, of course, the Truck Series. A good fight between these 2 young drivers.
Joe Knott 10th in points coming in. Ted Smokestad 15th in overall points after 8 ASA races. And you see Smokestad fighting the wheel there off of turn 4.
Knott will drive a Chevy when he makes that Busch race appearance. This is Mac Martin's number 92, the Custom Veneers sponsored car. Just 50 laps to go here at Kaukauna. You're watching the fight for 10th position between Joe Knott, the Valvoline Raby Ford number 48. 18 car of Mike Miller sits 12th tonight, AFC 1000. And the 30th anniversary car of Bill Barrett, the Speedy Pop backed car. 30th anniversary for the AC-Delco Challenge Series this year. He runs in 20th. Junior Hanley, 72. Kendall Oil Port City car runs 15th. Here's a fight for the lead. Sawinski and Mike Eddy going at it. Sawinski on the outside. Eddy to the bottom. Boy, they've been swapping this point a couple of times tonight.
Coming on the 21 car.
Mike Chappie letting his driver know that Kevin Noodleman, who runs 14th, will be the next car that he will have to deal with.
We've had 13 lead changes tonight, most of them coming around the lap 100 mark. Ralph, as you mentioned, 6 laps, we had 5 lead changes, and here again, Mike Eddy trying to get back to the point.
Well, Mike is pretty good at rooting a guy up out of the way, using that nose to get up underneath you and just knock you up about a half a lane, loosen you up a little bit, and slide on by. Let's see how he handles Carlson or Sawinski.
Crew Chief Howdy Thomas able to see most of this racetrack from on top of the pit bull. The haulers are placed behind the racetrack to give clearer view, and we see Sawinski's right front hub now trying to stay cool, but is heating up and turning red on that number 1 car.
Over 1,000 degrees of temperature into those brakes to make them glow bright red like that. Here comes Mike. Can't get him. Doug Mayer just in front of him. Has to back out of it. Sawinski came to the AC-Delco Challenge Series Tour last year. Claimed the highly prestigious Pat Shaw Rookie of the Year award. Collected the check for $50,000 for being named Rookie of the Year this year, trying to win himself the ASA title.
With 43 laps to go, Mike Eddy is closing on the 1 of Sawinski. In heavy traffic now, the 81 of Harold Fair moves out of the way, and see Sawinski leading the points. He's led the points for the majority of the season. Mike Miller led after the first event, obviously after scoring a victory.
This would be Sawinski's 5th career victory, if he can hang on. course, Mike Eddy looking for his 55th career victory. You see Kevin Sawinski moving around a lot.
If you keep him on the outside of you, you got this one.
You can hear Mike Chaffee saying that they think the inside groove is going to be the key for him. Here comes Scott Hansen now.
The old meanwhile, Hansen tries the outside story. Scott Hansen's been tough. He's had to battle back from 18th position under green to get back into the top 10.
40 laps to go, 40 to go.
Under that last caution, he came in and pitted. He came out 4th. Conversely, running 4th at the time of the caution was Butch Miller. He's now back in 13th position in Jim Daly's number 2 car, so he's somewhat out of the picture at this time, and he was wanting to be right here amongst these leaders here off of turn 4.
You can see Sawinski moving around inside that car. Want to get a look. Remember, we heard Dave Burns say he was trying to.
right ahead of you.
We got a yellow flag. Alec Pincino around the backstretch.
What do you think, buddy? We run her to the end?
You make the call. It's still tight in the middle. We could use a little more stagger, if nothing else.
Decisions right now.
How you doing?
Key strategic moves being placed right out now. Roger Slack waving the yellow flag. 5th one of the night.
Alec Pincino was running 23rd, spun. It looked like a single car incident on the backstretch. A very short caution, but...
What would you do, Jim? I mean, you heard him say it's a little tight, but he's leaving up to his crew chief, Mike Chaffee, to make the call. Carlson looks like he's ready to come down pit road. What would you do?
This may be the move of the race. If I was Sawinski, I would stay out because he was faster than Mike Eddy. At this point in the race, if he can hold that inside line as his crew chief Mike Chaffee had instructed him to, I'd say stay out.
Well, Mike Eddy is going to stay out. Carlson, you saw, came down. Joe Knott came down, and it looks like Tim Sauter pitted as well. Let's go to Sandy Hang.
Well, I'll tell you what, there was a lot of commotion in the Mike Eddy pit. They got 2 right side tires ready, and it looks like they orchestrated a bluff. They looked like they were getting ready for the pit stop, decided not to come in. So Mike is going to stick it out on the track.
He may very well have pitted if Sawinski elected to pit, but Sawinski stays out and remains the leader.
The Wisconsin 300 is getting to be a great fight to the finish. Make sure you stick around for the fireworks here on the 4th of July. Racing with Kevin Sawinski leading Mike Eddy and Scott Hansen and Rick Beebe here in the closing stages at Wisconsin International Raceway. Mike Chaffee is the crew chief for Kevin Sawinski. Dave's with it.
Mike, what was that decision based on? How Kevin felt or how the car was doing overall time-wise?
Mostly for the track position. I could see up and down pit road, it didn't look like a lot of guys were going to pit, so car's just a little bit tight in the middle, and I'm not sure we're going to be able to hold off the 88 car if it would be anybody but him. You know, I know he's had a lot of bad luck, but boy, I hate it when he's still out on the racetrack.
Mike Chaffee is looking good, so is Mike Eddy. And guys, I talked with the guy who makes the brake pads for Kevin Sawinski. He said he thought if Mike gets by him, which he's about to do right now, he may be able to run him down and wear out his brakes. Take a look.
Let's see what he can do with him. Mike Eddy taking a look to the inside. You heard Mike Chaffee say earlier that he needed to make Mike Eddy go around Kevin, but Kevin has lost that bottom groove, but Mike couldn't get him.
Crossed up, you can see the knuckles of Mike Eddy fighting the wheel of his Pontiac, and once again at the inside, Sawinski not able to hold to the bottom.
Well, Mike has rooted a couple of guys out of the way earlier on. Let's see if he makes some contact with Sawinski. Good, clean, short track racing. Sawinski, the leader. Eddy runs in second. Hansen waiting to capitalize in the 3rd position in car 52.
Down the front straightaway last time by Sawinski used a very low line off of turn number 4 through this dog leg. He pinched it down, kept Mike Eddy behind him.
Rick Beebe, Brad Loney, and Dave Sensiba all the way back to 6th position.
View, John? 4. got to make them pass on the outside.
You can hear the spotter telling Kevin Sawinski, make Mike Eddy go outside. Sandy?
Well, I was just talking to Howard Thomas, Mike's crew chief. They say that Mike has got the car to get around, but they are very concerned about Scott Hansen right behind. They've got to be careful how they make this move.
And he is definitely one to keep an eye on. But he said already, for Scott Hansen, this is his Daytona 500. If he can't win the track championship on the season, the one race he wants is this one.
Sawinski fans in large numbers here at Wisconsin International Raceway. Point leader coming in has just one single victory, but has dominated lead lap categories. Leading the most laps in 5 events.
Doesn't like to be yapped at, okay? Let's just let him race.
Mike Eddy's crew watching, waiting, keeping their fingers crossed.
Gas man Greg Dean had a ponytail last year. He cut it off to change the luck of the team. He's kept it off, and I'd say the luck is turning and changing for Mike Eddy. Sawinski may be even slowing the pace down here, Ralph, to stay on the inside line. You don't see his car drifting off for turn 2 anymore. He's parking it in the turns, getting a lot slower speeds through the turns to hold that inside line.
Well, there's 20 or so laps left to go here at this track that was built as a quarter-mile dirt track back in 1964. It's providing some great fireworks for Janet and the rest here tonight. Just like it was when we left you, the top 6 cars running in a freight train fighting for the lead, working lap 283 of the scheduled 300. From Kevin Sawinski back to Dave Sensiba, everybody with a shot and slower traffic in front of him.
Car is low.
This will help Kevin Sawinski. Mike Eddy will not be able to find a position to pass. They have to negotiate through lap traffic here. Kevin Noodleman, then Sitco 21 going a lap down. Mike Kofer will stay outside. Look at the advantage Sawinski has by being the first car to hit that traffic.
He picked up a good half a second or so there.
Coming on the 93 car.
Mike Chaffee coaching his driver, letting him know where everybody is.
Alec Pinson on the first lap, the next lap car they'll get to, and it's about a quarter of a lap, so it'll be a 4 or 5 lap dash here. This may be Mike Eddy's last chance. If the lap traffic plays a part in the finish here, Mike Eddy may need to get around Sawinski before they come up on the next pack of traffic.
Scott Hansen sits in third. Beebe is fourth, Loney fifth, Sensiba sixth, and Carlson creeping up from seventh. Trying to defend that bottom groove. Tracy looking on as her man leads this one here tonight at Kaukauna.
She not only takes times and does a lot of pit preparation work, she's also the catch can person on pit stops.
And controls all these crazies up in the grandstands that cheer for him as she runs Kevin's fan club. I wouldn't be surprised, Jim, to see Mike Eddy be patient and sit back in this position for a while, because the one thing he is also doing is keeping the door closed for Scott Hansen. If he tries to make a move too soon, as Howard Thomas watches on, Hansen could capitalize. If he waits until, say, 2-3 laps to go, that also takes away the opportunities for Hansen to get around.
And the way Scott's running this race, he's not pressuring Mike Eddy at this point. 10 laps ago, Scott Hansen would have been in position to get by Mike Eddy if Eddy committed to one lane or the other to get around the leader. I don't see that happening at this point. The race with just 11 and a half laps to go.
Well, we promised you fireworks, and these guys are delivering. The AC-Delco Challenge Series cars coming to you live tonight on TNN. And unfortunately, Tim Sauter has dived down pit road in the closing stages.
The 58 and the 11 is outside of him, I think. 81 in front of him.
We've had 13 lead changes here tonight, and we might see one more. Then again, we might not, as Sawinski opens up a healthy lead here now, Jim. Traffic really paying off.
Doug Mayer has just gone high in turn number 2, almost got in the wall as the leaders just got by him. He's that white car with the red striping in the bottom. That was a serious scare as they negotiate heavy traffic here.
Look at traffic really coming into play. Harold Fair on the bottom of the 81. Mike Eddy has got to get around him quickly. 8 laps to go.
Harold's in 17th, but Billy Turner to the outside made it a very small opening for these 3 leaders to get through. Certainly had played into Swinski's hands if Mike Eddy was about to start churning the pot. He has to wait about 3 more laps to heat it back up again.
And it's going to be a while before they catch any big packs of traffic. Jack Landis is probably 2 or 3 seconds in front of him with just 7 to go. Ralph Sheen, Jim Trano, Sandy Hang, and Dave Burns with you here as we bring you more great ASA racing live on TNN. And this one has really been a tremendous fight.
If you like what you see, join us again next Friday night.
Eddy right up on the bumper now. Will he try to cut it to the bottom? Diving on those brakes, what there is left of them. The Sawinski fans cheering him on. Just 5 circuits to go around this half mile.
5 to go.
The fight behind him, here comes Carlson. Fighting for 4th to the inside of Rick Beebe. Beebe started on the pole, slips back to 5th. Brad Loney runs in 6th. Beebe's really going to have to get on the gas if he wants to catch the 3 cars in front of him. For now, Carlson will hold on to 4th.
Carlson is certainly working a great race in that Trop Arctic Bringers Resource Pontiac.
There's the gap back to them as Carlson now breaks away from Beebe. Landis moves over to let the leaders by.
Coming on the 18th car, going pretty slow.
Just a couple of tours to go. Kevin Sawinski looking for his 5th ever career AC-Delco Challenge Series win. Mike Eddy trying to get the monkey off of his back, having gone winless since the beginning of 1996, a 20-race drought for Mike Eddy from Victory Lane. Can he change it here tonight? Mike Miller, slow to the bottom side. He's running in 12th. Scott Hansen, who sits in 3rd, calls this his Daytona 500. Can he finally find Victory Lane here tonight?
White flag.
White flag is out in the hands of Roger Slack. What is left of the brakes will be used as they dive deeply into turn number 3 for the final run to the checker. Here's Sawinski. Here comes Mike Eddy. Can he get to the bottom? Closing in on the backside of Sawinski. To the outside as they come off of turn number 4.
Handle the pressure, buddy. All right.
Good job.
Way to go. Great job, boys.
Kevin Sawinski has won the Wisconsin 300 at Wisconsin International Raceway.
Great job.
Mike Chaffee thrilled with the driving abilities.
Will you see if you can get Allison down here?
Of his point-leading, race-winning driver.
Defending race champion backs it up with a 2nd straight win here at Kaukauna.
And there's Kevin's mom enjoying it with all those Sawinski crazies in the grandstands. We'll talk to our winner right after this. Cedar Rapids, Iowa will be where this man will be racing next Friday night, and you'll get to see it live on TNN. But tonight, he picks up his 5th career AC-Delco Challenge Series victory. The points leader, Kevin Sawinski, is in Victory Lane once again.
Well, Ralph, his first win of 1997 came at Berlin Raceway, where he wasn't necessarily expected to win. Here, Kevin, a whole lot of pressure on you to do well. You came through.
Yeah, we really did. You know, this Lefebvre Racing team's Pontiac Grand Prix was not the greatest that I really wanted it tonight, but it was good enough just to hold off Mike there at the end. And I'll tell you, the crew did a fabulous job getting me out there at the last stop with about 70 or 80 to go, and you know, we were able to hang on from there.
Now you have to feel like you were the water buffalo being chased by the cheetah at the end there, because he was just coming and hammering on you the whole time.
Yeah, I got to give Mike a lot of credit. You know, our car was real tight getting into the corners, and he could have got into me very easily, kind of like a deal that happened at I-70 last week, and I got to give him a lot of respect. You know, he raced me clean the whole night long.
Kevin, what about, we were concerned about tires and brakes here tonight. Yours obviously were the best of the group, but how did that car feel?
The brakes were a little soft. You know, when we run hard, we could get them warm, and it would start to get a spongy pedal. But the tires, I think, were just, you know, a little bit soft for this track. But, you know, Goodyear did a good job. We didn't have no problem blistering them. You know, they gave us a great tire all night long. We just probably had to make one extra stop compared to what we thought we'd have to. And, you know, it was a good night for us.
Well, Kevin Sawinski pulling away just a bit more with the points lead, guys. And
he did it in record time here tonight. The race was completed 300 laps here at the half mile in 1 hour, 56 minutes, 2.451 seconds, beating his record from last year, which he set in winning by 16 minutes. Boy, the Sawinski Crazies are going to be going nuts up there tonight. Mike Eddy, he was second. The AC-Delco Challenge Series on TNN is brought to you in part by your GM Goodwrench service dealer. We want your business. And the GM Goodwrench Service Plus Pontiac. Number 88 is the 7-time champion. Came home second tonight, Sandy.
Tried time and time again to get around Kevin Sawinski. Looks like you just couldn't get the job done tonight.
Well, we could get part of the way in there, but you got to have a good run on him here to get all the way by because, the fast groove switches from the top to the bottom, and coming out of 4 there a couple times, I had a good run on him, but just couldn't make it all the way to make a good clean pass.
Now, you're talking about making a change in your brake equipment that may have helped you tonight. What did you do?
Well, we just put a little heavier rotors on the front tonight because you use a lot of brakes here at WIR, and so we put a little heavier rotor on the front to keep the brakes from good all night.
When you were running around the track, Scott Hansen looked like he was in striking distance several times. What were you thinking knowing he was right behind you so close?
Well, I wasn't really looking behind me. I was racing with Kevin, and I was letting Scott watch out for himself. I wasn't really worried about what he was doing.
Well, that's typical Mike Eddy, everybody. Just thinking about getting the lead.
The average speed tonight was 83.445 miles an hour for the 300-lap race.
Kevin Sawinski won the race, but Scott Hansen clicked off the fastest lap of the race, 19.835 seconds early on in this event.
And, Jim, I got to think with Mike Eddy now finishing second here tonight that this thing is starting to turn around for him. Cedar Rapids has not necessarily been good to him. It's been a real good track for Bob Seneker. But there are plenty of other tracks down the road here that Mike Eddy we could see him go on a tear here and click off 3, 4, 5 victories. We've seen him do that before.
He opened the 95 season with 3 straight wins.
That's right.
So it could happen, and it could happen in a flourish.
21 races now Mike Eddy has gone without a win. Dave?
Well, Scott Hansen has a little damage on the front end there, and some of that he's putting the blame on himself. Scott, what happened?
Well, we've just been blocked in the pits the last few weeks, and we've had a car now that's capable of winning, and, I got blocked in there for the second time tonight, and I tried getting around him and knocked the fender off, but crew did a heck of a job. We fixed the problem. The front end's bent a little bit, but, we've got a car that'll run, We need some sponsors for the deal if I'm going to have to put some fenders on the thing, but we're getting closer to victory circle, and we will get there, and just got to thank Kenny Schrader and the whole Schrader gang for giving us the opportunity to do this.
And yet, Scott, your car ran very well at the end. What could you have done with 10 or 15 more laps? Was there anything more?
No, starting in the back, this racetrack's real hard on brakes, and I used them up real bad. And, I just needed to calm down and maybe start in that 10th place instead of 25th, and we'd have had a car to win this. But we didn't come here to run third. We come out here to, the guys take so much pride in what they do in the pits that you try and help them out, and it's just a shame this kind of thing happens.
Well, Scott Hansen still comes home third at a track he knows very, very well.
And a whole group coming over from Norway next week. Going to get to see their favorite driver, Scott Hansen, go race with the ASA live on TNN next Friday. We're not done yet. Again, this season, you have the opportunity to win a Uniden Bearcat scanner, along with a 1-year Racers Frequency membership from Racing Electronics. Just send your name and address on a postcard to Racing Electronics. Post Office Box 241921, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28224. We'll announce the winner during each ASA telecast here on TNN throughout the year, so send in your card today. This week's winner is Harold Schwartz from Red Lion, Pennsylvania. Congratulations, Harold. Enjoy your scanner from Racing Electronics. I'll show you the full field rundown. And here it is. Sawinski, of course, the winner. We've already heard from Mike Eddy and Scott Hansen. We'll be talking to some of the other drivers here, hopefully, before we're done tonight. Carlson and Beebe. Beebe started on the pole. Carlson moving up even stronger in the Pat Shaw Rookie of the Year point standings. He was the point leader in that category coming in, but he's lengthened that now.
Tim Sauter was up to second in this race, had a late race pit stop for tires. Brad Loney had a great race. He and Sensible were really racing together all race long and had some great runs. Great top 10 for both of those drivers. Sensible, as we mentioned, hurting so badly has to put a smile on his face knowing the work ahead and the work ahead on his right knee come Tuesday.
23 positions Butch Miller moved up, started 31st tonight. He's going to go start, he's probably already headed back to Milwaukee. He's going to be rolling off 27th in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Race tomorrow. And Brandon Sperling, what a great effort he had. Had a good qualifying run and finishes off with a nice top 10 finish.
Qualified 8th, finished 9th. A very quiet run, but very consistent. Ted Smokestad was running back as far as 15th, 16th. He came up to a top 10 finish.
Joe Knott getting ready for his first ever Busch Grand National race, August 1st. Tonight he comes home 11th. Tim Sauter frustrated now, I would think, finishing 13th, as would be Mike Garvey finishing in 15th. Both of those drivers up front throughout the majority of this race.
Their races tonight were faster than what shows in the agate. Harold Fair, Kevin Noodleman in his first of what could be 8 ASA starts this season in hopes of running for full rookie status a year from now. Jack Landis and Billy Turner 18th and 19th.
Steve Holzhausen put a lot of laps in here on a weekly basis at this racetrack, but tonight only a 21st place finish. Gary St. Amant came in second in points. That 25th will hurt him. Bob Seneker, he'll really be a threat next week when we move on to Cedar Rapids, which you'll see live here on TNN, 8 o'clock Eastern time. The sneaker always gets around there well. Brett Bell had the fire. He was all the way back to 28th, and the first car out tonight was Aaron Huff, who was also hurting. Fourth place was Steve Carlson, Sandy.
Oh, it's some close racing. Look at this. On the 87 car. Steve, what do you think?
This Trop Arctic Pontiac was up front most of the night. We made a pit stop and we put the wrong tires on the right side, I guess you could say, and the car got loose. We dropped back quite a ways, so we pitted late and we put rear tires on, and when we come back got 5th or 4th, I think it was, wasn't it?
Well, not bad. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Steve Carlson was one of 4 drivers that came into pit on lap 263 that were on lead lap. He came all the way back through to finish 4th.
We got a few more things for you when we come back to Wisconsin International Raceway. We'll be right back. Dick Trickle, former ASA star, he'll be racing this weekend. Well, it's been a great 4th of July night here at Wisconsin International Raceway. This Wisconsin 300 was a tremendous shootout. Kevin Sawinski picking up the win, and that will help him in the point standings as well. But our wins-winning move has got to go to this guy, Butch Miller, driver of the number 2. Started 31st tonight after qualifying his Craftsman truck in Milwaukee. He hustled it up 41 to get here. He will finish 8th. Now he's hustling back down 41 back to the city of Milwaukee, where he'll roll off 27th tomorrow in his Craftsman truck, where he sits 7th in the points. And the Wagner job well done. I think we have to give it to Scott Hansen. He was in contention to win all night long, Jim, and not only that, but after losing that front quarter panel and getting knocked back, fought his way back up for a great 3rd place finish. So the Wagner job well done goes Scott Hansen. The wins-winning move to Butch Miller. Top 10 in points. Let's show you that as we get set to move on to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Next Friday night, you'll see it live at 8 o'clock here on TNN.
It's a 212-point bulge. Sawinski over St. Amant. It's 83 back to Rick Beebe, who's now moved up to 3rd. Then it's only a handful between 4th and 5th on back.
Great fight there for 3rd. Look at that. Beebe, Miller, and Sensiba.
15 points separate those 3 drivers in the back half of the top 5.
Mike Eddy breaks into the top 10
Finally.
for the first time in 1997. It's been a long time since he saw that. His worst finish in the points, 11th last year.
13th, actually.
Actually, 13th, you're right. That's right. So Mike Eddy inside the top 10. He'll be pleased with that. Well, that wraps things up from Wisconsin International Raceway. For Sandy Haig, Dave Burns, my co-driving partner, Jim Trado, I'm Ralph Shaheen. Kevin Sawinski, our winner here at Wisconsin. So long, everybody.
That's the Kia.
The Wisconsin 300 is brought to you by Milwaukee's Best. When you're looking for a different breed of beer, unleash the beast. And by Wendy's Super Value Menu. Delicious choices, just 99 cents every day. For only $19.95 plus shipping and handling, you can get your copy of RCR, The Making of Champions video today by calling 1-800-981-7854. Race fans, you make the call. New LCI residential long-distance customers receive 30 minutes of free domestic calling and the World Card Plus calling card featuring participating NASCAR drivers. Don't delay. Call now 1-888-TEAM-LCI. Subscribe to Stock Car Racing Magazine at the low introductory price of $14.97. Call toll-free 1-888-9-STOCK-CAR. Save 68%. Toll-free 1-888-9-STOCK-CAR. Lighting for tonight's event provided by Musco International. Drivers, race teams, and race fans, the 1997 Simpson Race Products Catalog is now available, featuring all the new products and services for 97, plus Simpson's complete line of racer and fan gear. To get your copy, call 1-800-71-RACIN and join Team Simpson today. Go behind the scenes with Ernie Irvin in the exclusive video documenting his triumphant return to racing. Gladiator and Universal Luxury Vans, the official van of tracks, teams, and drivers throughout the NASCAR world. Call 1-800-445-2825 for a dealer near you.
Speed Association. ASA Racing is produced for television by Silver Fox Sports, Charlotte, North Carolina.